Guys, listen. We're live with the man, the myth, the legend, Rich. You go by Rich, right? I can call you Rich. That's what I've been calling you the whole time we've been back. Mr. Rich Guido, stick shift legend, Pontiac GTO legend, and a big MFing turbo on a big cubic inch Pontiac. So it's going to be a ton of fun, dude. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for this.
I'm ready.
Well, here's what I'll tell the folks that are coming in. Guys, grab a drink, grab a comfortable spot. We're going to be here a while. I've literally told him 3 hours is fine with me. We can go till 2 a.m. I don't care. I don't care what we do. We're going to have fun tonight. He has tons of stories because this dude has traveled all over the northern hemisphere, let's call it, I guess, North America, you know. So I want to go over a little bit of housekeeping stuff, but dude, you got to tell folks, tell them, you know, one, who you are, where you live, because that's going to come into play later, and then about the car a little bit.
Yeah, so Rich Guido, I live in Red Deer, Alberta. So for the Americans, it's northern Montana. It's about 400 kilometers. Of course,
we don't know how far kilometers is, but I think you can like 0.6 kilometers for every mile, right, or something like that.
Yeah, so it's doing 300 miles an hour. It's about a 3-hour drive to the border.
Nice.
Yeah, I drive a 1965 GTO that I've been working on for about 18 years. I don't have a truck and trailer, so much like Bill Armstrong, if I want to go to any event like Florida, I got to drive it.
Yeah. But, so I can't wait to talk about Sick Week, dude. It's going to be I can't wait to see you at Sick Week. I'm just telling you right now, if you'll have me after this, I want to spend a little bit of time in the passenger seat on that for sure.
I would love it.
All right. So
that'd be great.
Yeah, dude, let's I got to do some housekeeping stuff first. There's some stuff that's coming up I'm super excited about. I got to tell everybody about it, and then me and you are going to get down. So the first thing is cannot do this without our sponsors. Andy's Computer Repair. Again, I've said it every time I'm on live. If it wasn't for Andy's, I wouldn't be able to do this in my shop. So if you're in Northwest Arkansas, southeast, southwest Oklahoma, or southwest Missouri, whatever, you know, anywhere, holler at me. I'll get you Andy's info. It's kind of referral only for him. And then obviously Hawassi Tire and Lube, guys. He's putting tires on my grandma's van. If I didn't trust them dudes, they wouldn't do that kind of stuff for my grandma's van. So Jarrett at Hawassi Tire and Lube keeps us in tires. Like literally, we run out the back room of all of the used tires for all the burnout stuff we do.
Nice.
Yeah. First real big thing I want to say is, guys, you've got to go follow LS Chevy Rider on YouTube. The dude is trying to get to 10,000 subs by Christmas Day, 10K by Christmas Day. He's at like 8,800, I think, something like that today. Donks, you know, box top, Caprices. There's not a whole lot of bubble top stuff over there, but big wheels, big turbo LS stuff. He put a Mercedes sunroof in a Cutlass. I mean, like he's my kind of people. I really, really enjoy that kind of stuff. For everybody that has been watching on our YouTube channel, you notice I just blasted you with shorts, you know, with the goal of giving away the cart at 1 million video views. The way we're going to get there is probably with shorts. So get ready because they're coming. So I've got Steven. He's going to start doing a lot more recording in his shop, you know, because he's full-time narcoleptic now. And with him doing that, building all the cool stuff he's going to be building, with me going on what we got going here at my shop, at my house, there's going to be a ton of stuff coming out because I'm ready to give the cart away. Because if I end up keeping it, we're going to do something really dumb like a turbo LS swap or something like that. And I really want somebody else to have it and go through that transition on their own. I don't want to build that car just because I'm ready to go on to the next one. So, you know, watch YouTube videos, please, so we can get closer. And then for the folks that were on earlier, I know there's several folks that were here. So you guys in and out during the quick 16 segment that we're doing now. It is basically 16 questions, 16 minutes. We're going to be in and out. I feel like it'll give me a way to introduce you guys to a lot more people a lot more. Like, you know, just about anybody can give me 20 or 25 minutes, and we're just going to start pushing. I've got to get my feel down for it. Tomorrow night is we've got Swap's performance on tomorrow night. He is, again, donk, 30-inch wheels. What y'all don't know is I really like those kind of cars. So he's going to be on doing the Quick 16, celebrating crossing 1,000 subscribers on his channel. And so I think it's going to allow me, one, to talk to a ton of people, which I enjoy the most, is talking to everybody. And then this gives me an easy format to reach out to that next level of guest. You know, Doug Cook would be a great one, I feel like, for that. Tom Bailey. You know, obviously we're going to make our rounds back through Matt Frost and Adam Dory as we lead up to Sick Week. And the Quick 16, again, 20 minutes, I can be in and out. And 16 minutes of recorded time gives me a ton of podcast content, gives us a ton more YouTube stuff, and introduces everybody to a lot more people that maybe you wouldn't have known. So that's all my housekeeping. Are you ready, dude?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Okay, audio is good. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, and folks in the comments, let us know if he can hear me. I think you can probably hear me too, but just want to make sure. So here's what I have for the intro. Rich Guido, 8-second, big single turbo, Pontiac powered, stick shift GTO. Dude, that car is nuts. Like the violence, Bill and I talked about it. The violence of a stick shift car that is fast is crazy.
Yeah, I think slipper clutches have helped because I think I sent you one picture of Bill's car when it was naturally aspirated in a stick, wheels in the air. And the turbo calms it down somewhat, but yeah, once you get these things moving, man, there's no, they're like a slingshot.
Yeah.
And the clutches helped a lot. It used to be way more violent. I've broken pretty much every piece of the drivetrain from clutch to rear end to axle. Yeah, everything.
All of it. You actually, I was listening to a Power and Speed podcast where you and Bill called in, and you guys had broken your car and had dropped it at a rear, at Mark Williams. Is that right?
Yeah. The car was getting hot. I think it was like day 2 of race week. I can't remember what year it was. And so we pulled over to take the hood off the car to put it on the trailer. And as I'm walking back past the car, there's this little green trail coming from the axle, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" So we jack it up and grab the wheel, and I'd been hearing something that I'd probably been ignoring. And I jacked it up and grabbed the wheel, and you could just feel the wheel bearing was bad enough that it took out the seal.
Nice.
So I think we were probably 10 miles from Mark Williams. So we drove to Mark Williams. I think it was after a race day. We pulled the axles out, like jacked it up right in the parking lot, literally almost at their front door. I think I sent you a picture of it.
Yep.
And then, we left it there overnight. And of course, what kind of rear end do I have in my car? Moser.
So I bet he enjoyed that, didn't he?
Yeah. Honestly, the first guy I talked to, he was like, yeah, it's going to be some time. But as soon as I got a hold of one of the techs in the back, he was fantastic. He did 2 wheel bearings. Yeah, there it is. He did 2 wheel bearings, or axle bearings, for cheaper and quicker than I could have done them for in Canada. So it was a win-win in my mind.
Yeah. That was a win all day. End up getting, it fixed, and you didn't have to turn wrenches. And I think based on that phone call, like, you guys were drinking beer and having fun. So,
oh yeah. That podcast with Mike and Tom, and I'm trying to think who else was in there. But yeah, it was a blast. We had a great time. And when you drink beer at 8,000 feet, it doesn't take very many before you're feeling really good. So
that's awesome. Well, for folks that don't know who you are, who have been under a rock, kind of give us like a flyover of the car, and then, obviously tell us how fast it's been, and then kind of horsepower, power plant, things like that.
Yeah. So I'll give you the premise. Like, when I built this car, Well, I never wanted a race car in quotations. I always wanted a car that I could drive everywhere, to the racetrack, wherever, because our season's short in Canada. So I want to drive the thing as much as I can. So when I first built it, the first iteration was a TKO 600 with a tri-power and 498 cubes. And it went 11:17 at about $1.22, I think is how fast it got then. But I didn't. I was only allowed to go 11:50. So then I put a cage in it, and then it went through quite a few iterations where the motor that's in it now, in 2013, I took to Drag Week, gave it back to the guy who built it for me to kind of showcase it. Did a bunch of other stuff thinking I was smarter, and then ended up buying that motor back from Muscle Motors, and then I ended up turbocharging it. So now it's 517 cubes with a 94 millimeter turbo, and at 15 pounds of boost on Matt Blasco's chassis dyno, it made 1,430 horsepower.
Golly, that's crazy.
And
that is crazy. I bet that thing will tow a trailer.
You know what amazes me the most is when I put that 94 millimeter turbo on it, it got way more streetable. Like I can cruise this car at 1,500 RPM at 70 miles an hour.
So you think just because of the exhaust side, the exhaust flow?
That's the only thing my little brain can think is that back pressure in the exhaust just made the cam seem a little smaller, and because when it was naturally aspirated, anything below 2,000 RPM, it was not happy. It was not happy. Yeah, but now 50, like I don't cruise at 70 miles an hour very often, but at 1,500 RPM, yeah, it just gets fantastic gas mileage and just idles along. But I'll say it's happier at 80 miles an hour, but that's only like 1,750 RPM. So
God, that's so cool.
Yeah. Why would you put it on a trailer? It gets 20 plus miles per gallon.
Yeah. You're not going to get that kind of mileage pulling it for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to say thanks to Destroyer 1320. He dropped us a super chat, $5. All the super chat money tonight is going to obviously fund our sick week adventures. So appreciate everybody that donates between now and January. We're leaving on I think sick week's the first real week of February 6th through 11th. So definitely appreciate that. I had Destroyer 1320 on about an hour ago for the Quick 16. So he's technically episode 1 of Quick 16, and Danny Diesel was episode 0. So he actually got the segment started. We just didn't have 16 questions yet. So that's nice. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. If I keep going through the car, so it's got a Kale's next gen clutch. So it's a single 11-inch clutch, and then a T56 Magnum from G-Force behind that. And then, like I said, it's got a Moser rear end in it with 35 spline axles and a spool. Nice.
Eli Gould said that you have a bearskin rug in your house. The bear's not dead. It's just afraid to move.
Uh-oh. If we start with the Chuck Norris jokes, this could be a long night.
It's going to be a long night already. You better get ready. Hang on. Right here. We got V8 Billy 66 dropping $25, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's huge for our channel. Thank you very much. All right, dude. What size tire do you run on that car?
At 28-10-5.
Nice. And then you swap tires to drive on, or you drive on? You a radial guy, or you slicks?
Oh, geez, there goes my water. I'll show you. See if I can show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but there's that was my back seat, and all four I carry 2 fronts and 2 rears in the back seat of the car.
Because you're generally 1,500 miles from your house.
Yeah, I don't want them to get weather checked by mounting them outside, so just keep them inside with me.
There you go. That's awesome. So we're going to back up some. I want to kind of, as you came up through, and all your stuff. So was 11-year-old Rich, was he a car guy?
11-year-old Rich would have been in a field with my brother Bob Guido. He would have been on a motorcycle. I would have been on a go-kart, and we would have been driving around a field full of cow shit, and I would have been eating most of it. So, yeah, my dad and I and my brother built a go-kart with a snowmobile engine on the back of it. So literally took the front of a snowmobile and welded it to the back.
Nice.
You're not supposed to be sitting in front of, yeah. And so I still have that go-kart. It's actually under my shed, and we put a 440 Yamaha on it. And I've driven it a few times, but it's the scariest thing you've ever driven. I built the steering in high school, and this is like lock to lock, and oh my God.
That's awesome. That's crazy. You sound like my brother and I, except more fun. That's wild.
And one of my favorite go-kart stories is when I was growing up, my grandpa was about 75, and we took the go-kart out to this lake that was just like glass. And we said, Grandpa, you should get on this thing. He's like, no. And we finally get him on the thing. And then it was like, he ran the thing out of gas. He's out there doing donuts. And oh yeah, that was just go-karts when you're a kid are super fun.
Yep. Yeah. I keep telling the wife we need to build our daughters. I've got an 11 and 8-year-old. They've got to get on some go-karts. It was about the age I think I was go-kart time. Richard Edward or Dirty Panda on YouTube says Rich's tears cure cancer. Too bad he never cries. I think we're seeing a theme here. We're gonna have a good time tonight. So we talked a little bit about what part you're from of Canada, but have you always been there? Have you always lived in that area?
No, I grew up in the Kootenays, so Cranbrook and Kimberley, BC, which is still kind of northern Montana, but it's closer to the border, is where I grew up. So I grew up in the mountains, skiing a little bit, but mostly farming with my dad and my brother.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I was old enough to drive and get the hell out of there and go find some better place to make money, I moved to Alberta then.
That's awesome. So how long have you lived? You said you're in Red Deer. How long have you lived in Red Deer?
Well, I've been with the same company now for 25 years.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. I went to SAIT, which is a school in Calgary, for a couple of years, a tech school, and then went up to Fort McMurray and worked in the oil sands for 8 years. And then after that, I came down here. So lots of shift work in my life. I worked shift work for 24 years. And then I've been on days, been a day walker, as I used to call us. For about 5 years now.
That's awesome. So, Red Deer, I messaged you right when we first started talking about this, and I was like, are you the guy that I was at a race with my buddy Aaron Mick, who works at Comp Cams? We were at, some big no prep back in 2013. And there's going to be some people that don't know this about me, but I like to drink beer every now and then. And we had been drinking most of the day with me and Paul Snyder, who's another good friend of mine, and Aaron Mick. And I got us all thrown out of Hooters. There was about 20 of us, and our service sucked. And so we've been thrown out of the Hooters in Memphis, Tennessee. So, it was a good time. But there's a speed shop owner that is in Red Deer, and apparently, I'm sure he gets around. And so not like that. Not like that, but he come down.
Yeah, the slicks that are on my rims, he sponsored Miles of Mayhem. I won the stick shift class, and so I took my winnings and went down to his shop and bought a set of slicks, or really, he gave me a set of slicks because he sponsored. So
yeah, that's too cool.
Orly's a great dude.
Yeah. Richard Edward here said, when Rich gets bored, he counts to infinity.
Oh no!
This is going to be good. We're going to have some good ones here. I want to get into your and Bill Armstrong's relationship. So you guys are buddies. You talk a bunch. He said it on when he was on with us. How did you guys meet? He told us, but I don't remember. And then tell us some funny stories about you and Bill.
Well, I'll tell you the real version because I heard his version and it wasn't quite true. So Drag Week 2013, first time I had done Drag Week. I met Bill on day one, and we started talking TKOs and stick cars. Remember, this is my version. I told Bill that I had a spare TKO with me, and so we bantered back and forth a bit the first day. And day two, he comes over like Eeyore, and he says, I think I broke my transmission. And to give you a little bit of backstory, the day before, day one, it's the one Tom Bailey's talked about where it was brutal. Like it was 106 degrees. So day one, my dad had heat stroke. We didn't get to the hotel till late. And I at some point I would like to tell you the whole 2013 story.
Yes.
But I'll just tell you the Bill piece. So Bill comes over. Like I said, just like Eeyore, I think I broke my transmission. And I will tell you, and I think Bill mentioned it, like he had nothing with him. Like he hardly had a jack with him. And I'm thinking, holy cow, you're all by yourself. And anyways, so he starts describing to me what's going on. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't sound like your transmission's broken. It sounds like your disc is welded to your flywheel or something. And so I said, oh, well, come over and have a look. Let's just make sure that the throwout bearing's working. And so I bring my jack because I don't know. I think he's got a scissor jack. Like Bill Armstrong in 2013, he wasn't quite ready yet.
He was not prepared.
Yeah. So I come over and he lies on the ground and I slide the jack underneath. And meanwhile, my dad is looking at me like, dude, we got to get out of here. I didn't sleep last night. I feel like shit. We got to get going. I'm like, we're helping this dude out. So he's lying on the ground. I slide the jack underneath and I start jacking and I'm jacking, and Bill looks up and he says, man, this thing's got a strong oil pan. And then he looks away again and I'm like,
oh crap.
And I'm looking at my dad thinking, oh my God, what did I get us into? Like, who is this dude? So now I'm jacking slow, hey, and Bill looks up again and he's like, I'm just kidding, man. And I'm like, you and me are going to be good friends.
Yeah.
So the rest of the story is, I jack it up. He gets in the car. He pushes on the clutch. I can see everything's moving. And I'm like, I said, let's go for a drive. But I don't, there's nothing. I don't know if there's anything wrong with your transmission. So he turned to start the car. He's got to leave it in gear and start it. We get going. So we're in the Indy parking lot and Bill is describing this and he is dumping the clutch and we're like yo-yoing the thing, trying to get the clutch to break free. It ain't breaking free. I mean, we tried everything. So we gather again, try to keep my dad calm down. It's like, well, I have everything. We can change the clutch if you can find a clutch disc, we can change the clutch, but it's 106 degrees out.
Yeah.
So we make some phone calls, call a transmission place, ask them if we can borrow a bay. They say, no, we're full, but you could do it in the parking lot. And it's like, oh, it's 103 out, but 106, 103. But we say, we got to go somewhere that if we need anything, we can have it. So we drive over there and this is one part Bill probably forgets, but he drove that car. Every intersection shuts the car off. When the light turns green,
man,
he starts it and he's got no clutch, so he match shifts it every time. I'm thinking, I don't know why we're not driving to the next track. I can't even tell him that the thing's broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, oh yeah, I could definitely hang out with this dude. He's got this down pat. I'm glad he had a good starter, but
yeah.
So we get to the car wash, or we get to the transmission shop, and there's a car wash right beside it. So I run into the car wash and I'm talking to the young kid at the front to kind of tell him the story. And right away he's like, well, my dad did drag week. And then we start talking, realize that he did power tour. And so I didn't want to burst his bubble too much, but I'm like, yeah, man, we need to borrow a bay. We're going to swap a transmission. We're going to be in there for a while. We'll pay you. He's like, don't even worry about it. Just take it over. And so, yeah, I had a great big green tarp. We laid it down. We backed both cars in there. We pulled his transmission out and then took the pressure plate off, and then literally took a pry bar and he had like welded the pressure plate. And yeah, so that's kind of how I met Bill. And I will tell you, the bantering going on in the car wash that day, it was fantastic.
You guys were instant buddies.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And I got a nice comfy chair from my dad, and my engine builder was with me that year. So they were like the two guys on the Muppets, the two old fellas there, going at us the whole time. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Richard did say, Victoria's secret. That's great. So how many events have you guys attended together? It's a bunch, right? Like you guys do race week and drag week and all that stuff typically as a group.
Yeah. We must be at like half a dozen together, because I've done, after I did Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0, I've done 11 so far.
That's awesome.
And so Bill and I have probably done at least 6 of them together.
God, that's cool, man.
Because I did Drag Week a couple of times without him after that year. Actually, no, the next year, there was a bunch of us went together, all stick cars. Bill drove all the way to, I think there was five of us in stick cars that all went down.
Right. Turlo's Garage here saying, always good to have some hecklers in the audience when fixing a car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we definitely had that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So let's do family stuff, because we've got tons of car content coming up, but we got to get these folks knowing who you are. So you married, you got kids.
Yeah, I did send you a picture. I think it was my girlfriend. I think it's my wife. And
hang on, I'm getting it pulled up. Hang on, I'm trying. Let's see. Nope, keep telling your story. I've done screwed it up.
Yeah, so I'm married. I've been married 25 years this year. She's not into cars, but she doesn't restrict me at all, as everyone must know, because I'm gone lots doing car stuff. Have two kids. My son is 23 this year, and my daughter's 21.
That's awesome. Is this a lady here?
Yep, that's my wife there, Sylvia.
That's cool. All right, I'm going to leave that up, and then I think I can move through photos. Yes, perfect. Hang on. Yep. We got to talk about this next one here too. Who are these folks?
So that in the driver's seat is my dad, and his passenger is his dad, and I think he's 99 or 100 years old there.
Oh, that's too cool. What's the story on that car?
So that when we were still on the farm and I was getting ready to leave, my dad started building that Cobra. So it's a replica that he built in a little garage, not much different than I'm in right here. Did it all himself. Bought a kit from a place in Vancouver somewhere that went under now, but yeah, that car has caused us all a lot of grief, because once you drive one of those and you feel that acceleration, yeah, you get hooked pretty quick.
Yep. So a buddy of mine, Brian Late, who owns Black Seat Originals, he has a Factory 5 replica car. It's like I would say a era correct 427 top oiler and all, stick. It's nice. Gnarly. We've been in it a bunch, and it's so much fun when it's right. Yeah. That car, he doesn't drive it enough to keep it right, but he's getting there.
Yeah, my dad's driven that. Geez, it might have been in this time of the year with my mom in the passenger seat. And my mom is hot-blooded. Like, that woman is never cold. But we warmed up blankets for when she showed up, because they were freezing. I don't even think Dad put the top up. But, yeah, so the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's awesome. Aaron and Trevor Brandon said, Richard's son drove my car. That's how much I trust Richard.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty cool. Trevor left his car here, and we had to take it down to get it, get another wrap put on it, or get the wrap fixed up, I think. So it was here for a couple of days, and yeah, I mean, what kid doesn't want to drive a GTR? So we went for a little rip.
And that was the Jotech GTR, right? That was on 2.0.
Yeah, that might have been. Knowing Trevor, that was probably like 25 iterations ago. Sorry, Trev.
He likes to change some stuff up, is what you're saying.
Yeah, never down, always up. Yes,
there you go.
Most of us.
Here's some other shots you sent of you and Bill.
Yeah, that was a cool picture. That's when my car didn't like to go straight, but Bill and I had a great time. I think that was the first year I had a turbo in the car with no controller, and as I think I learned last year, which I'm a slow learner, that thing was towing in like 1.5 inches, so it get to about 900 feet, and I would go for a ride. So anyone who's watched the 1320 video, yeah, that's what was going on there. But
that's too cool. And then this one here, like it looks like that's. I mean, is that Bill's house when you guys were hanging out at his place? Yep.
That's
cool,
Bill's
man.
House. Yep.
That is too cool.
I got to tell you, I got to back you up. So you see where my dad and my grandpa were in his Cobra.
Yeah.
There's a picture of a silver Model A that I sent you. But before my dad bought that from a farmer in Saskatchewan and drove it around for a while. And
here we go. I've got it all fucked up now. Hang on, I'm gonna have to fix this.
Yeah, no worries. I'll keep talking. Anyways, it's a 31 Model A, and I think it was Cranbrook's Centennial or something. And my grandpa was at my dad's place, and they were downtown. And Grandpa can't see that well, but he was pretty convinced that it was his 100th birthday, and everyone there, the whole parade and everything was for him.
Nice.
So yeah, he and he was witty right till the end. I think he died at 103 or 104 years old. Like he lived a long time, but
that is too cool. I hope to live that long because I want to be a pest to my kids.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's the one there.
Yep.
So my dad, it's got a small block Ford with a AOD in it now, but back when I told you the story, it was still original. So I think Grandpa was pretty comfortable in that thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, you think about, so my wife works at an assisted living, so 70, 80-year-old people a lot, 90s. And it's really cool. They had a lady turn 100 the other day. And I was trying to explain it to my kids, like think of all the stuff that lady has seen, like just, really the, just everything car related, like anything and everything. She's born in 1921. I mean, that's just wild to think the amount of growth she's seen from anything,
Oh yeah, incredible. Yep.
Well, while we're talking about hot rods and family stuff, you want to run through some of these hot rod pictures I've got here?
Sure.
All right. So we've got obviously the 69.
So that was my first Pontiac. When I bought that thing, it had a small block Chevy in it. Now it was an automatic car, and pretty much like the GTO, I think that thing was going like 1220s or something, but it was a convertible and I didn't want to put a bar in it. Mm-hmm. So that was my first Pontiac that I restored. And when I say I restored, I don't have enough money to have somebody else paint it or do anything. So all these cars I always do myself, paint myself, engine work, do everything I can myself. Yeah. That's
pretty cool.
So that was a great car. Yeah.
When was that car? Like how long ago did you build that
one? It would have been, I would have got rid of that about 19 years ago before I got this one, which is also a funny story because that was a pretty sharp car, right? And
yeah,
I bought this one, and I think I sent you pictures of it too. And when I brought it home, my wife looked at me like,
"Yeah, hang on, I want to grab because we're gonna go through that." Let me grab the picture that you sent me. Hey, man, there's a ton of pictures I've got here.
I thought I'd set you up with a bunch of pictures.
I tried to kind of segment them up in kind of how we'll conversate about them, But yeah, here we go right here. How about this one?
Yeah.
So you leave in a super cool convertible, 69, looking great. You bring that home. What does she say? What's her first comment?
Well, so she comes outside and we're trying to take it off the trailer, and the pinion nut is off the rear end. So we can't even get it off the trailer. It went on the trailer okay. But when we're trying to take it off the trailer, it's locking up the rear end, and I'm literally under the trailer trying to jack and not get run over this thing. And she's like, "Oh my God, what did you do?" And that's the good side.
That's brutal. Hang on. Yeah. Let me scroll back out because there's another couple pictures in it. Oh, nope. Wrong direction. Sorry.
Yeah, there's that. So the story goes that car came to Canada, and they hit a telephone pole with the rear quarter, and then it was parked for a while, and then the dad kept telling the boys to move the car. They didn't move the car, so he took the front end loader and moved it with the front and smashed the whole front of the car. And then the boy got pissed off and kicked the door in. So
nice. So it was high quality stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You might get a kick out of this. Let me see if I can show you. But you see my roof? Let's see. See that black mark there?
Yeah.
That's the wheel well from when I painted the bottom of the car. It was on a rotisserie. It was on a rotisserie completely sideways. So
that's awesome.
That's my memorabilia.
That's too funny. That will make a great story forever. Like when you turn 100 and you're out here talking to folks and telling people stories, that's going to be like, oh, that's where I painted that GTO.
Yeah.
That is too cool. Let me get back to some of the stuff here. So are your kids car folks?
So my son is actually moving back to town. I have a Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am, T-roof, 4-speed. I've actually had it for quite a while. I got to get my ass in gear. So now that he's back in town, he's interested in working on it with me. And I think what got him hooked is he drove that thing a couple of times in town, and the looks that he got, like driving that thing around. I think I had the T-tops off too. So they'd pull up and look at him, and he was like 16 years old, all smiles. So yeah.
That's cool. He's like, yep, this is where it's at. Hot rods looking cool.
Yep.
That's neat.
Totally.
That's neat. So what'd you learn to drive in though? Like if your folks had cool cars around, like what does that mean you get to learn to drive in?
Well, let me back up. While we were on the farm, there was nothing cool going on other than tractors and pickup trucks and farming equipment. So
I got you.
Yeah, it was all pickup trucks for the most part. Dad's trucks were always sticks. And then even my brother and I, when we were growing up, he had a cool car. He had a 68 or 69 Acadian. And I think it's in that one picture with the whole bunch of cars there. And then I had a 77 Buick Skyhawk. So, and then, same thing. Like, I think my brother's car was painted before we got it, but my car, my dad and I painted it in the garage, and we didn't have a lot of money. So, we did that together. And, but that was my first car. Yeah. So it's the brown one beside my sister's pink and black Bug, but that was the stable at one time. And then my brother's.
There's some cool stuff in that. I mean, is that that's a Nova, right? Then you got a pink and black Bug.
Yeah, so it's a Canadian Nova. It's a Pontiac Acadian, is what that one is.
Oh, that's cool. And then is this a little AMC right here? This little brown car? What is that?
No, that's a 77 Buick Skyhawk.
Oh man, sexy.
Yeah, that was mine. Yeah. Of course, I thought it was super fast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wasn't. And then
that car didn't weigh anything. That helps.
Yeah. That's a big 4-door Lincoln that Dad bought off an ex-drug dealer, we think. There's a big 460 in it. And the truck beside it, it had a 460 in it too. So Dad's a Ford guy.
Nice.
So is my brother. Yeah.
That's cool. And then motorcycles here. I mean, dirt bikes. You said your brother was, into dirt bikes earlier. So I would imagine that only grows up with you,
Yeah, and we really use those to scoot around and get to the different acreages, because we had a couple of. Well, we worked some land for the government that one of the farmers left behind, and we had like 3 miles of irrigation pipe to change every morning. So we would take the motorcycles to do that fun bliss. Now you know why I got out of there when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, you're like, later, I'm gone.
This doesn't pay very well.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Bye, y'all. So what do you daily drive now?
Well, to be honest with you, all summer I drive this one to work. I drive it everywhere. Don't tell the people who put the license plate on there. But and then I have a 2009 G8 that's got It's just about 320,000 kilometers on it now, so a couple 100,000 miles.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's what I normally drive in the winter.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting winter car.
Yeah.
Rear wheel drive, 400 or 500 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, I would think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, well, the first set of winter tires, I put on some high performance winter tires that were way too hard, and I'd literally get stuck on flat snow that was hard packed. And then I put on some Hakkapeliitta studded tires. That thing goes anywhere with those. But
that's cool.
You need some good tires on that thing.
Danny Diesel here said he'd love to bring his diesel to Canada. And it's the regular cab diesel truck that was on 2.0 with us. He said, which event would you recommend?
Oh, Miles of Mayhem for sure. It's essentially, drag week or Rocky Mountain Race Week. I'm not sure. I got to go over and have some beers with those fellas to find out if we're doing 8th mile or quarter mile this year. Last year was the first year. It felt so much like drag week, and because of COVID and not going south. And it's funny, I've done so many of these events that my brain goes, when I go and fill up with gas, I'm going to get my favorite American chocolate bar or something. And it's like, oh, damn it, I'm still in Alberta. What the hell?
Hang on, this is weird.
Yes, this is weird. Yep.
That is too crazy. So let's talk project cars for a second. So you've talked about the Firebird or Trans Am, whatever they call that, with the T-tops. You got the GTO. You got the G8, which I'm sure isn't stock. Anything else in the stable laying back?
Nope. I've done a few other cars. I did a 70 GTO for a friend of mine, Paul Manzel. It was Orbit orange, so yellow, with a blacktop convertible GTO. Has a bowling ball in the back, so if you know the reference. Do you know the reference?
Nope.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I'll have to think of the show in a sec. Dazed and Confused.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yellow GTO. They got a bowling ball in the back, and then they're all stoned driving around, and he takes a bowling ball and he throws it through somebody's window. Yeah, he carries a bowling ball. Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I did a 67 GTO, and the story with that one was when I bought this car, my brother found this car and a 67 GTO. And so we bought them both. My brother never got around to restoring the 67, so I ended up buying it off of him afterwards. And then my buddy bought it off of me, but I restored it, painted. It's a pretty kind of an eggshell blue GTO. And then I've done a 68 Camaro for a friend of mine as well. It's a pretty nice car.
Nice. That's awesome. So you've definitely worked on some cool stuff.
Yeah. But this one seems to suck up all my time now. So I keep thinking I'm gonna bring that one in, and this one will get put away in the winter at one piece. But now Tom Bailey pretty much screwed that up for me. So
yeah. So it's funny, talking to Tom and Blaine last week. It's kind of the same thing. They're like, typically we'd be down and we'd be in a break. We wouldn't touch the car for a while, but Tom's event's in 3 months and it's time to go. You got to upgrade and update and refresh and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0 is 5,400 miles. So got a couple things to check over, and you were on those Oklahoma roads. Holy shit. I thought Canadian roads were bad. Those things were awful. Oh.
Yeah. It was pretty brutal there for a little bit. There were some roads we were like, oh my God. And I don't pull a trailer very much, and our trailer was really light, so like it was bad bouncy as we went faster. So, we ended up slowing down quite a bit. And I definitely want to talk about, so we'll just get into it. You do typically 1.0, typically 2.0 the last 2 years. Hang on. I take that. You didn't get to do 1.0 this year, right? Because of COVID.
That's right. 2019 was the last year I did Rocky Mountain Race Week, and then we were supposed to do Drag Week in Matt Blasco's car, but we just didn't get it ready, so missed Drag Week, and then COVID hit after that, and was stuck.
It was over.
All my family.
Yeah, right. So, let's talk border crossing. That's a question I had later on, but I want to get into it now since we're kind of on that conversation. So, what's it like for you to have to cross the border? I mean, like, I think I was talking to, it was either Bill or maybe I was in a group when you and Trevor were talking maybe on 2.0 about you, like somebody had to like tow it across the border and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, so a couple things. So right off the bat, apparently I don't read very well. That didn't help. So I had to get a PCR test, which is a long lead test where, but you have to get it within 72 hours of traveling, and it costs you about $160. And then, so Trevor comes and picks me up, Trevor and his wife, Erin, and Bethany, who's an American citizen. So they come pick me up. We load the car up. We go to Calgary. She takes off to go to cross the border. So my car is loaded up on Trevor's trailer behind his TRX. And then we're waiting. So the first check mark we got to make is this young lady going to get across the border with all of our stuff? She doesn't own a cent in any of this.
Oh, man.
So Trevor, like Erin's got to sort it out because, well, Trevor and I. So she's literally dictating everything we got to do. So
she knows what's up.
She's a planner and she does a great job. So we get notarized letters from a lawyer to say, yes, this is Rich Guido. Yes, he signed this letter in front of me. It's given permission for this young lady to cross the border. And so I'll finish that part of the story. So apparently if you send this car behind a $150,000 TRX with a cute young lady in it that's 25 years old, the only thing the border guards want to do is go with her. So, so that part went really good. But I'm not getting my results. So it's like 5 o'clock. We're leaving 6:30 in the morning the next day. I call up the place that did the testing. They said, oh yeah, those samples are delayed about 8 hours. And I'm like, no. Oh no. And then Erin straightens me out again and says, you can just go get a quick test at like the London Drugs. So I get my buddy Derek Mueller to pick me up and he takes me over. I get that test, and sure enough, as I'm walking back from getting that test, I get my results for the other one. So I was double negative. Thankfully, that's not a positive. And then we had to fly from Calgary all the way to Denver, and then back to Montana, Helena, Montana, and that's where Bethany met us.
Wow.
So yeah, it was and then we drove to Denver.
So walk us through, like, why did she need to drive it across the border? Like, why couldn't you have driven across the border? Was there some rule in that, or did you need to fly to make it easier?
No, the border was closed to Canadians.
Gotcha.
But she was a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
So we could. It was way safer for me to get on an airplane, go to the Denver airport, get on another airplane. There was no chance of COVID following me that far. So that was way safer than me driving my own sorry ass across the border.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Governmental ideas there, thought processes. That's funny.
Yeah.
I want to tell Richard something here. So he says, why am I looking at larger turbo kits for the 240, which he's got an LS swap 240. He said his engine didn't even finish yet. Dude, if you have a turbo, just put the turbo on, get it driving. There's a ton of stuff you've got to do to get that car ready. Just get it in. It don't have to be right. Just get it in.
Yeah, you're totally right there.
Yeah. It's got to be going. So you fly into Denver. You load up on another plane, fly to Helena, Montana. I think the way Bill explained it was that you were waiting for her to cross the border before you got on the plane, or something, like you were trying to schedule that out like that.
Yeah, we weren't good. If she didn't cross the border successfully, there was no point in us flying all the way. So that's why we planned it that way, where she could drive and get across the border and text us and let us know she did before we went to bed and woke up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the airport to fly out. And then when we get there, I get my car off the trailer. Matt Blasco was supposed to meet me there, but if anyone knows Matt, he was blessed with, like that guy is unique in the sense that he's an IT guy and he's mechanically inclined. He's got a mechanic's license and, but he may have been gifted with those things, but he doesn't know how to tell time. Like if you were carpooling with somebody and it was Matt Blasco, you would make it at least a day 2 because you show up at his house and he'd be like, yeah, still sleeping. But
yeah, he's like, what? Oh, we got to go right now? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I call him up and basically say, dude, I'm in the States. Now hopefully I don't get him in trouble, but anyways, he's allowed to drive across because he has a business. And I'm sure he had parts to pick up. That's why he came across.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when I called him, he was still busy because he tunes cars like crazy. He's always got lots going on. But so I negotiated with him. He's like, I think I'm too busy. And I'm like, I don't think you are. Finish doing what you're doing. Meet me tomorrow and I'll drive north to see you. So I just about went, well, not quite back to Calgary, but I went like 4 hours from my house to pick him up. and then we left and went all the way, drove to Noble, Oklahoma, which was, I think when I started race week, I had put on 1,400 miles already.
Man, that's wild, dude. That is so wild. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think is funny is, being in this now for, what I would consider a little over a year, drag and drive events. Guys are crazy, man. And, I come from, guys would drag their stuff to the track and run like an 1180 and then drag their stuff. I'm like, so I never really understood. Then you go with you guys and it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to drive it. We're going to load it up and we're going to load the trailer with parts and we're going to drag the trailer to the thing. When Jonathan Stonecipher would talk about that, it didn't mean anything to me, but after seeing it, yes, it's amazing.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things is to the track that I go to, Castro Raceway up in Edmonton. It's about an hour, doing 80 miles an hour. It's about an hour's drive. And there is nothing better than passing race car, truck, and trailers on the way there, beating them at the racetrack, go faster than them, and then driving by them on the way home.
Yeah.
Half the time I just get this. They're like, what?
Yep.
Kind of way to think that guy's crazy.
Well, so how much more do you think people would enjoy their car if they drove it to the track? Like, instead of trailering that car to an event or to the track or something like that, like just get in it and be in that thing for, at that point, another 3 hours compared to driving it to the track, race. Say you make 6 passes and they're 11-second passes and you're in the car another 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, you're in the car 45 minutes all day where you can be in the car almost 4 hours,
Yeah, I think that's what I appreciate about the drag and drive events. Like when I knew I wanted to go to an event in the States when once I started getting the car sorted out, and I was just going to drive myself and then my brother and others joined. But that was the gig for me. It was like, I want to be able to drive this thing everywhere, be able to race it. And you asked me, like, how do you prepare for race week? Just looking where I pretty much wear my car out before I get there half the time driving it. But you learn a lot. And I don't know how many times I go to the track and I see somebody roll a race car off and they have an issue with it right off the bat. Yeah. And then you just wrecked your whole day.
Yeah, because you're definitely not in a good mood if you pull the car off and something's wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have been on the side of the road many times on the way to the racetrack fixing shit. But,
yeah, that's awesome. So, it's funny, like for people to say, oh, you don't own a truck and trailer, but like you really don't. Like you don't. Yeah. No. So you've got to, and I want to talk about that a little bit about like in detail about parts and stuff because like. To be able to do that in a car that makes 1,500 horsepower is a stick shift on top of that, and then is driven 10,000 miles a year. I mean, that takes, I figure, some planning on your part as well as, just parts you purchase, but then also on like a builder kind of side too about how, like if you're reaching out to your group of people that help you design, like when you're starting to plan for the car, you didn't just go to the junkyard and pick out a T56 out of a early Camaro and do it, like you had to like find out who did the right kind of stuff. And I mean, walk us through that, because I think that's really cool. Like, not just the turbo side of stuff, because I love that, but like, tell us about the trans, like internal trans stuff.
Yeah. So I'll give you, you should actually, one of the questions you should ask all the car guys is, what part have you broken multiple times before you decided to get smarter and upgrade? So,
I'm typing it out right now.
So I think I have a stack under my porch that I think there's 5 broken TKO cases. So I went non-face plated with a girdle. And I broke a lot of them. Like the first year I did Drag Week in 2013, I had a spare one with me and I used it because I broke the other one. I'd be taking third gear out all the time. And so, you keep thinking you're going to make it live, and maybe with a slipper clutch it would have lived. But so I knew then 2 things. One was I actually thought I don't want to go face plated, because as soon as you go face plated, it's an aftermarket part that somebody's got to build. Excuse me, and I just can't be down for that long, because I might be in the States and I need to get home.
Yeah, for sure.
So the first time I went T56, I had 2 stock T56 Magnums off the shelf, and having one as a backup. I mean, I don't know that I ever broke a T56. I had some issues with roll pins and stuff, but they are a super tough transmission. But you wear out synchros when you're beating them as hard as we do. So then when I finally decided, I think when I lost my stick shift trophy after I got it in 2017 and 2018, I missed the shift, and it was like, no more of this shit. I gotta get my another faceplated transmission. So
yeah.
So G-Force at the time, I had been talking to Mark Shiflett, the same guy Bill was talking about. He was telling us that they were building some prototypes, because what they used to do is they would take a T56 Magnum and put their T56 parts in it. And so the gears were a little smaller. They weren't quite as strong. And I did break one of those. So actually I did have one of those versions, and I broke it. And then since then I've upgraded to the latest one. So it's face plated 1st through 4th, 5th and 6th are synchroed. And the part I love the most is, well, not the most, but 5th gear or 6th gear is 0.5 overdrive.
What? That's crazy.
So I have a 350 rear gear with a 0.5 overdrive, and that's really what allows me to keep the thing together, doing as many miles as I do, because it's basically idling going down the road. So
yeah, I mean, like you were saying, 80 miles an hour, 1,700 RPM.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
100 miles an hour is 105 is 2250.
Nice.
If you're in Mexico.
Yeah,
only if you're in Mexico. So yeah, it then I have a white lightning shifter on it, but other than that, I do have a Tick Performance aluminum front plate. I think it's a little more solid, but it also has a better oiler that sprays on all the gears, and I think that's so it's got a pump on the back that pumps up to that front and then sprays on all the gears to keep it alive too. So I only use that at the track though. I tell the computer to turn it on at like 2,500 RPM, and then but yeah, they're great transmissions. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Huh. I was making comments on social the other day about how I'm going to have some automatic guys on here, or everybody's going to think I'm converting to the dark side. But what's crazy is I really enjoy learning about that stuff, because I don't know anything about it, So having guys like you and Tom and Blaine and Bill, obviously, You guys are fast, stick shift cars, and I think that's really it interests my brain, and I hope it interests people that are watching this too, because there's a lot of times where we've all broken stuff or killed a clutch or whatever. Just being dumb in a 300 horsepower car. I mean, you talk about that. You're dumb in a 1500 horsepower car. So go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah. So the clutch piece. I know Bill was talking a bit about it the other day, but the way I have the clutch set up is I don't touch the counterweights. I have a bump button underneath the car. So it literally takes longer to jack the car up, put it on jack stands, make sure I hit a button before I climb under the car to make sure it's not in gear, because running yourself over would suck. Because I'm hitting the button underneath the car, and yeah.
Oh yeah, you're under it at that point.
Yeah, I make sure it's in neutral, and then I pretty much take all the base pressure out for racing. And I kid you not, Mike, like that pedal, you can push your finger on it, like it's that light in the car. There is just no pressure. It's all counterweight. And then when I want to switch it back to street, I put about 6 turns in the 6 adjusters. Same thing. I mean it's fast with the way I have it set up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it honestly is one of the best street clutch that I've had too. It squeals a bit, which on the odd occasion. Once you resurface it at the track, it seems to stop squealing for a while, and then. But yeah,
that's cool. Richard said that he's got to figure out his trans. He really wants a T56 in his car. But he's probably going to be turbo 400. So,
well, Bill's got a purse that he hands to. No, I shouldn't. Never mind.
Hey, listen. Sometimes autos are faster, man, and they're way easier to drive for sure. I don't know about.
Yeah, easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one of Bill's live videos when he's at the Drive Week walking down all the cars? I'm waiting for him to get punched in the head. Some of the comments he makes about, is your girlfriend drive this car? Yeah, no,
that's great.
I don't do that very often.
That's great. So you talked earlier. One of my questions always to drag and drive guys is like, does the car stay ready all the time? And I think you answered that. I mean, the car, if you're driving it a lot of time during the summertime, like it's not down for months at a time to get different parts and things like that. Like it stays ready to go.
Yeah. My summer, like the ability to drive, it's pretty much our track will open in April. And you might get a couple passes in October, so that's the window. And
that's crazy.
For me, it's key. That's why if I've got a transmission in the car that if I break it, I'm down for 8 weeks. That's my summer, right? So it's part of the reason. And I should be able to show you. So I know we were going to talk about the trailer, but yeah, that's why that's in there too, to get me
nice.
To get me home and to make sure that my summer isn't ended suddenly. So that's not face plated, but that will get me home in a hurry.
I want the folks that are watching this to understand this dude carries around a trailer that has a spare transmission in it, like ready to go. And one thing, and I'll say this is sad, we should have kept pushing with the cart. We missed day 5. Because we lost third and overdrive. If I wasn't like 80% or more throttle, we should have just pushed on. And I think I will not lay down next time. I laid down this time because we were tired and it had been a long week. I won't lay down next time. I think we'll just find another trans at a junkyard, or we'll attempt to rebuild on that one, and we're just going to keep going. So,
well, see, that's I really shouldn't say this before going to Florida, but I have yet to be unsuccessful to get home. Now, I have broken a lot of parts that I've had when I was dealing with Liberty. There was a fella there that shipped us parts to one of the tracks so we could put my tranny back together. I mean, that struggle, that for me, that's part of the entertainment, right? Like,
yeah. And that was, I think that's what frustrates me the more I think about just leaving, or I mean, we didn't leave. We literally had second gear and about half of first. So it's like 28 miles an hour. We were 150 miles from the track. So it had taken a long time, but, we should have just gone on and done it, So we'll do that for sure next time, because I mean, really, it's a Grand Marquis. Like, there would have been parts somewhere. Somebody would have had something laying back. We could have thrown in easy enough. I just we won't lay down again. I'll guarantee you that.
Where was your trailer at that point? Back in, I guess it would have been in.
It was on it. So we were. I think that's probably what hurt it. That and Blaine Stark, if he's watching this, is 100% his fault for telling me to do the 100 shot. Out of the hole. I don't think the trans like that. It probably handled it out of the hole just fine. I think it was probably as it shifts into second, I put the button back down again after we had already lost overdrive. But you had one pass to make. You had to get down. In Tulsa, we had to make we were trying to. I thought, oh man, we've got first, second, and third. That's all we'll need for the track. So I just sprayed the piss out of it, and it didn't like it. So, but it'll be better next round. We're either going to do an LS swap right out of the gate, or I'm going to go in and attempt to rebuild on the trans myself. I think that'd be more fun. Put good clutches in it and stuff like that, and have somebody go through the converter and restall the converter. So,
yeah, that's it's funny how I've almost become the Tremec mechanic in Alberta. Like, I get people calling me up and they're like, "Hey, I hear you could fix my transmission." And yeah, I've probably done a dozen of the things, put new synchros in them, and usually I'm doing it for like $100 or $200 because it's a car guy needs to get back on the road. And, yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, what is your favorite part about drag and drive events?
Well, some people love to climb mountains. Some people like to run marathons, do triathlons. And for me, driving to these events, beating the shit out of your car and making it through the struggle, because there's always some sort of struggle like you described. Yep. It's just the feeling of accomplishment. And and then to do it with all your buddies and friends. And, I think Tom Bailey is totally on the right track, because there are so many cool, like-minded people on these events. Mm-hmm. But the problem is half the time, like, I never got to talk with you at all.
Yep.
And,
yep.
That's what I love about his magazine is there's some more insight to all the cool people. And, but his event should be fun. There should be some more social time. And it's actually what I really like about Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0 is those 2 drive days. You can actually socialize a little bit and have some laughs, and it's not just a crushing blow the whole time.
Yep. Aaron Roberts asking, are both of you going to be in Florida in February? I am for sure. And I'm co-piloting, which will be the first time for me to do that. And the reason I'm doing that is just exactly what you're talking about. I want to be able to walk around and talk to people. I'm going to do a ton of interviews, tons of live feed stuff. I think we'll probably come up with like some 6 or 7 questions I can ask every person that I talk to, so we can, we can jump on and provide a ton of cool content for people that are, not available to be there. Instead of, like, I'll still do daily videos of a full day, but I'll do, it'll be a lot during the day. We'll drop. So,
yeah, if I could get my poop in a group, I would love to do a video log of this adventure, because it's going to be an adventure, and not many people know this yet, but so Bill Armstrong, like, on the event, we talked, after we found out about the carnage on his car, he asked if he could be passenger, and he's got lots going on with his business. That's not going to work out. And then another buddy of mine, Ted Miko, he was going to be a passenger, but as soon as my dad heard about the event, he was calling me up going, "Hey, what's going on with this Florida trip?" And I'm like, I got a couple people in front of you. If they bail out, then I'll call you up. So I called him up the other day and said, "What are you doing in February?" So he's going to He's going to be 80 years old next year. But he's fully able. And in fact, you'll see that I will put him to work because he's a stubborn, hardworking German. And if you treat him like he's an old man, you're going to hear about it. And
Oh yeah.
It's like idle hands. You don't want that man idle. So I'll be putting him to work. So
That's too cool, man. That's so cool.
Yeah. So he's doing the whole journey with me. He'll probably meet me about 2 hours south of me, and then he's going to be on the road with me for 6,000 miles there and back, and then the trip as well. So
yeah.
It'll be,
hey, John Hopper on YouTube saying, "Let Dad make a pass."
Yeah, no. He used to, like, the Cobra was fast and stuff,
yep.
But well, honestly, it's the other thing I like about stick cars, because I'm pretty sure I could get most automatics, and you give me a 5-minute tutorial, you'll be good.
Yep.
I don't think everyone could drive Bill Armstrong's car or my car or Cletus's car and do what we do. It takes some practice. So
and really even make a pass at all. Like to be able to, because the way you have the clutch set up and things like that. George Belinsky on Facebook's asking, what fuel are you running?
So the way I have my fuel system set up is I have 2 gas tanks. So I have pretty much a stock GTO gas tank that I sumped for EFI.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just run 93 on the street, and then I have a complete separate fuel system for race gas. And the way I have it set up is the pumps. I basically have a switch. I flick it, and it goes to the race pump, and they both got check valves on the discharge. Yep. So whichever pump is working, it's
not
priority.
Feeding back into the other one.
And then I have a 3-way valve on the return. So whichever fuel I'm running, I just return it to that. So, but I run C16 is what I run at the track.
That's cool. That's cool. Where was I had a thought on that a while ago. And I think so. Jonathan Stonecipher had 2 tanks set up like that, but he was changing fuel line, I think was how he was feeding his. He would change from his small drive pump to the racetrack, pump setup.
Yeah. Adam Dorio tell you that they used to give me a hard time all the time, because a couple of times I went by myself. So I'm changing my car back and forth. And at that time I only had just my stock tank. So I would drain all the fuel out, put the race stuff in, drain the race stuff out. And, not only is it dangerous, but it's freaking time consuming. And when you're doing these drag and drive events, you need to be able to switch back and forth quick. And anything you can do to make the car easy to work on. This system, I think Daryl Yost, he pretty much copied my system, and his wife came over, gave me a big hug, and she's like, "That is the best thing we have ever done."
That's awesome. What size tank do you run for your C16?
It's 3 gallons.
That's cool.
Just small.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you would need. I would think you're burning through most of that on a pass, but you don't need it any more than that.
Actually, I can make 2, maybe 3 passes before filling it up, but usually I'll fill it up every time. But you can make a couple of passes on it for sure.
That's cool.
I burn more ice. I burn more ice than anything else. So,
well, so let's get into that. I need a new beer, and I need to spend some time outside for a minute. So why don't you kind of walk us through? Tell everybody like what you keep in the trailer while I get all that going.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I like most probably set it up. So whatever I don't want to need, it's in my trailer. So I've got a trailer jack in there now, because these T56 Magnum transmissions are about 130 pounds. I can bench press it in, but it's kind of hard on the nipples. And then I have a full valve train. I have a camshaft. I have a full set of lifters. I have a full set of valve springs. So I have all that stuff that potentially could wear out. What else do I have? So nuts and bolts and shit that I think I'll never need. if I'm walking around the garage, I'll throw them in there because I think I've probably typically helped 6 or 7 people out with rare shit that they don't have. And I don't know why I have it, but sometimes it's just in my garage and I throw it in there. So typically the way I set the car up is everything that I need at the track is in the car. Everything that I have in the trailer, I hope I don't have to use. So literally the trailer is a spare parts container. It's part of so I take the passenger seat out so I can get the tires out easy. The parachute's in the trunk, air compressors in the trunk. I have a little tool kit that has everything I need to adjust the clutch, do all the tires. So that's really how I set mine up is it sounds like my dog's scratching at the door.
Awesome. Can you repeat all of that? I'm kidding.
Oh, what the heck is that? Sounds like a pig.
Oh man.
Oh, must just be your speaker.
Is it messed up still?
Oh, I don't know if that's just me. Somebody in the chat might have to tell you if you guys can hear Mike or not.
Yep. Let me know, guys, because I just unplugged it and plugged it back in. I wonder if my mic is bad.
It sounds like you're in slow motion, man, like really slow. I can't, it sounds like you're a pig, actually. That's kind of funny. I don't know if it's your mic or what's going on there.
Of course something would be wrong. Is that better? Nope.
Whoa. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Something.
This isn't good. Hang on. Aaron and George are both saying sound is clear. That's weird. Hang on.
Is there anybody on that could tell Mike? Because, you still sound like, I don't know what's going on, if it's the cache or.
Hang on. Let me try something real quick. I'll be right back.
Yep. Still sounding funny to me. I don't know if it's just me or. Somebody was asking about if I'm going to Florida. Yes, I'm going to Florida. I got winter tires on the front, and I'm going to put some G8 winters on the rear, put some mud flaps on the car, and hope for good weather.
How's my audio? How's my audio for you now? Everybody's saying it's fine, but if you can't hear me, there's no point in it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's me. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Oh, dang. Huh. I wonder what.
I'm going to text Bill while we're talking, see if he's still listening. Because unless it's just me. But I could hear you fine before you went. You didn't pee on something electrical, did you?
No. Man, that's weird. Yeah. They're all saying the audio is fine on my end, but we'll definitely have to have the audio fine on your end. Because if you can't hear me well, that's going to be a bad deal. Hang on. Everybody hang tight with us. We're figuring stuff out here.
Oh, still can't. I can hear you, but it's really totally garbled and.
Is that any better for you?
Nope.
No.
It's still.
Dang. Huh. Man, I wonder if it's your headset.
Oh, he says you both sound fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's just. I'm not sure. I got it.
Maybe turn your earbuds off or your earphones off. Oh. Camera gone.
Just hold on, I got it.
Be patient. We're working through it, guys. Of course, it had to happen when I went to pee.
Let me. I'll just shut my headphones off for a second. See if I can.
How's that audio for you?
Oh no, still the same for me.
Man, that's crazy. What is going on here?
Let me see what Bill's saying. Maybe I'll just log off and log back on.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill's saying that we both sound fine, so it must be something on my end here.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to jump out and jump back in, we can do that, and I'll entertain for a minute.
It does sound pretty funny though. Let me see. My mic.
Yeah. Testes 1, 2, 3.
Oh my God, it sounds horrible. Okay, I'm just gonna leave and try logging back in.
Okay, that'll work. Cool. All right, so you guys are stuck with me for a minute. Let me tell you some things. I don't know if I have shown everyone in the last 2 live feeds, but me and Justin Chestnut are going to be driving. Oh, he's going to be driving. I'm going to be riding in his Model A, 29 Model A, with a small block Chevrolet and a legit 2-stroke Detroit diesel from the 60s blower on it. I'm pulling up Facebook now so I can get it pulled up so I can show you some pictures here. Super cool, almost old school. It's flat black with green flames on it. Let me see if he's got, and I know Rich is probably in the back now, but let me see here. How's that audio for you? Is that better?
It's great now, man. You sounded hilarious to me, but I couldn't understand the word you were saying.
That's awesome. Hang on, I'm showing them the video or the car we're going to be taking for Sick Week, so everybody will know what to look for here. Hang on, I'm going
to try to put my headphones back on.
Okay. Sorry, guys, work with me here. How about that? Did I get us? Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yeah. So it's going to be super neat. His wife's going with us. She's driving her own car. And what's funny is I think she'll probably end up in the passenger seat of this car most of the week. And then I'll merry-go-round with a bunch of different people from the trip. But he had this car for a long time and sold it, and then now has it back. So I'm super pumped to be in it. It's probably like a 15-second car, but I think it's going to be really cool, just to cruise around with and things like that.
Is it got AC?
Yeah. The windows there's no windows in the sides.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's got 555, 5 windows, non-existent, and 55 miles an hour.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be neat.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. One, I'm excited to hang out with him. Him and I have been friends for a while, and he came to the house one day and hung out for an hour or two, and then that's really been about it, just car show stuff. So, he's as big of a gearhead as I am. So that's probably the coolest part about, these drag and drive events is getting to hang out with people that you never see, but you talk to on Facebook all the time,
Yeah. Yeah. It's Sick Ward or Sick Week? Which?
Yeah, so we'll be Sick Week, and his wife is in Sick Ward. So,
oh, cool.
Yep. So she got her email yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday, talking about Tom Bailey's "Don't tell anybody this email is out" and all that stuff. But she got it, and it looks like it's going to be really, really cool. I think Tom is more excited about Sick Ward than what he is maybe about Sick Week. So,
yeah. Oh, he's I can't wait. Could be a better place to be in February.
Oh, I can't even imagine what's the temperature difference going to be for you compared to home to there.
Well, minus 40 in Fahrenheit and in Celsius is the same, so it absolutely could be minus 40 here when I leave. I hope not, but and then I don't know how hot does it get in Florida in February.
I mean, I would think we'd probably still see some 60s, so you're going to have 100-degree swing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't think about what is your route. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm flying. I was going to say I could convoy with you, but I'm flying down there, so it's easier. I'm actually flying down a couple days before so I can make sure and help pack the car and all that kind of stuff. And then a cousin of mine who's like my sister just moved down there to Tampa too. So like I'm getting to hang out with her for a couple days afterwards. It's going to be really neat. So
yeah, it's all weather dependent. So I have the week off before, and I'm basically gonna, watch for a window in the first 3 or 4 days where I know I can get 1,000 miles south. And then I haven't talked to David Pierce about this yet, but I was thinking I might try to make it to Oklahoma and go visit him, change tires, put my street tires on, leave my winter tires there, and then drive the rest of the way.
Nice. What part of Oklahoma is he in?
He was only like he's really close to Noble. Like I think he was only.
Oh, gotcha.
I think he's only like 20 minutes from the track or 15 minutes from the track.
Dang, that's cool, man. You'll be really close. You'll be, Noble's 4 hours from me. So you'll be there early enough. I don't think I could make a trip over to say, hey, and then then fly out that Friday. So Danny Fatka, or I don't know how you say his last name, Fatka, on Facebook says, will be a freaking cold ride down. Hope you still have a heater in that thing.
Yeah, so it does. It's got a heater, and I put in a 195 degree thermostat. So I've been driving it in the cold a bit just to make sure. And yeah, heater works good.
That's awesome.
It's like it's 1965. That's all.
Right.
That's probably what they took on family vacation. Now it probably didn't have 1,400 horsepower and a spool, so that might make things a little more interesting. But
right, especially if you end up in some slippery situations. So I guess you said you'll probably run studded tires till you get south. You think?
They're a Hakkapeliitta, like a Nokian tire. They're not studded, but I might bring those cables that you can put on them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I'll use chains because that would be very bad if they come flying off and take off part of the quarter panel. But
yeah, Danny says his 67 442 will keep the heater as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You almost have to for the to defrost the window, like not defrost, but defog the window. That's kind of a big deal. So the heater in the old truck is like what would have been something you could have bought from J.C. Whitney 15 years ago, just a little box with a blower in it, and so it's in the old truck, and it will just melt your face off in there if you have it on. Like you don't need much, you just need something to knock the edge off.
Yeah, and it is a street car. I mean, there's lots of days that the heater gets used, and I remember, I can't remember which drag week it was. It was when my good buddy Troy Clark wrecked his car, unfortunately. But we were driving, and we had Garrett with us in Leroy, and James and Ruby, and there was the four of us were going along. And we were just at a gas station where we could see the big black cloud, and it was like. We're waiting, and of course, Garrett, they're putting cardboard on the top of Leroy and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how cool is that? That story alone, how many car guys would be like, just to be at a gas station with Garrett and those guys.
Oh yeah, yep.
So I'm leading the pack, and it is pouring rain, like major downpour, and I think I got one of the 1320 guys with me. It was Matt from 1320. He's in the passenger seat with me. And we're cruising down the highway, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, we're hydroplaning. We're going for a ride here. So I'm just holding onto the wheel, but I've got my heater, so I can still see. My window's not fogging up because it's cooled down. And I look in the rearview mirror, and I see Troy hit the puddle. And the next thing I see is I literally see the Model A, the trailer behind the Model A, sideways on either side of the car, and I'm watching it, and I'm going, and I'm out of the hydroplane now, but I'm watching this performance, and I'm screaming to Matt. I'm like, I think the trailer's lying on its side because it was whipping, and of course the Model A, it's all over the road.
Oh yeah, there's no weight to that car either,
And there's no weight to there, and he finally, like, I don't know how he recovered, but he finally recovered, and then, so I pull on the next off ramp because I figured, the inside of his trailer has got to be a mess. Well,
yeah,
all four of us pull in there, and Garrett's kind of yelling at at James, you got to slow down. I can't see. And he's using his hand to wipe the inside of the window on Leroy because they don't have a heater either. And all that stories to tell you is that, I would keep a heater. If it's truly a street car that you're going to drive on the street, that a heater's a pretty nice piece.
Well, and like, let's be honest, you're talking about 25 pounds. You know, like the heater I have, you're talking about the coolant that runs through it and the weight of the heater. Like, that's not going to make any difference. I want to say what's up to Johnny Clyde. Hadn't seen that dude posting stuff lately. He needs to come on, man. We need some more food reviews back, man. Next time you get to NWA, buddy, holler at me. We'll go for some rides. Streetcar Chronicles popped in here. We met those guys at the Kicker stop in Oklahoma City or Stillwater. Tons and tons of fun stuff. Their channel is really good, really growing too. You've got a YouTube channel, but you don't post on it ever.
Not enough. No, I'm usually too busy thrashing, and I'm usually alone in the garage, so I just got to get some stuff set up so I can video some of this stuff. Because
man.
I mean, when I think about what I watch on YouTube, I watched all of Blaine's videos and stuff. I mean. So I think some people might be interested in a 6,000-mile journey in the middle of winter down to Florida.
Yep. Well, here's the one thing I'll say that has been beneficial to our YouTube stuff. We have videos of our dad that would never have been made. We would have just been telling the stories if I had not hit record on the phone or on the camera. So, definitely for the documentation side of stuff. Always, I always love for people to have any kind of video, and you don't have to make them public to the world. You can always keep them private and watch them yourself, but there'll be a point where I won't remember shit, and I'll be able to go to YouTube and watch that stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Go to Facebook and scan back. It was like, what was that about? Or who was that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Cause I don't think Facebook is going the route of MySpace. I think Facebook will be around for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, all of us car guys might keep it alive.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. That's the only way I get car content really anymore. All right, let's jump into let's jump into the engine because all we know is 517 cubic inches, but it's still Pontiac powered. So tell us the story there. How does that make things harder being Pontiac?
Yeah. So you better bring what you need with you because. Everything on there is aftermarket and hard to come by. Eli Good, I mean, no, those guys saved me with a harmonic balancer at the one track. But
nice.
So this is an aftermarket block. It's 435 bore and stroke, and that's what makes the 517 cubes. The heads are a wide port head. They flow like 380 CFM, but because they're a wide port, they have offset lifters. So another rare part that you're going to find a 904, and they're 904 lifters with an offset. So you better have a spare set of those because you're not going to call anybody up. It's also got a 55 millimeter cam. So Mark Campbell at Comp Cams, they seem to be the guys who have all the 55 millimeter Pontiac cores. So
nice.
That's the cam that's in there. And then all the valve trains, all Crower. And so Lewis has taken good care of me. And I mean, like I described earlier, I can't really, I don't put any parts in the car that I don't have accessibility to get replacements for. And Crower has been fantastic that way too. Lewis will see a post and he'll be like, dude, what do you need? Like,
that's
what can
awesome.
I send you?
Yeah.
So Bill and I run the same rockers. And so we can share bearings and rockers. And I think the first time that I went on a long trip, I had needle bearings in the roller tip. And so they were starting to wear out. So Lewis had sent me some bushed ones. And so, I think we stopped at one checkpoint where people were eating burgers. I was borrowing the vise in the back and rebuilding rockers. So.
There you go.
What else on the engine? Yeah, so it's I'm not a Holly guy, not because I don't like Holly, but Matt Blasco got me into amp EFI, so I'm running a MS3 Pro Evo in this. So it's got 8 EGTs, so I can see all the cylinders.
Oh, cool.
All my boost controls done with the ECU. I don't have another controller. Everything's done with that ECU. So it was my first one that I learned on. I wired it all. I read all the instructions. I programmed it all. And then I called Matt Blasco up and I said, I think I'm ready to start this thing. And he says, well, download TeamViewer onto your computer. And I'm like, dude, I am not putting TeamViewer on my computer. And he's like, no, TeamViewer. And I'm like, oh, yeah. All right, I can put that on my computer, but I'm not putting the other one on. And
yeah.
So he checked it out a bit, and I think 5 minutes later I turned it over and it fired up, and then it really set me up. So Matt doesn't live close to me. I mean, he's a phone call away, but you know, I basically have learned from Matt and do all the tuning myself.
That's cool.
So yeah, that's when I got into fuel injection is, and I mean, it's so much. Like I used to tell people, if you're going to build a hot rod, you have to put overdrive in it. Otherwise you won't drive it. Like, especially if you want to go fast and drive it everywhere, you got to put an overdrive in it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I pretty much wore the bolts out on my tri-power because I put an O2 sensor on it, and I was like, I had that thing dialed in, but I also pretty much wore out the carburetors dialing it in, right? But now I can little
and one of the biggest benefits to, you know, fuel injection is, I mean, it's 30 degrees outside. You can go out, and the car's been sitting outside while you and the family have been somewhere for 2 hours. You can go out and that thing starts. It's not some crazy deal trying to get it to start. And, oh man, it's, you know, you can hit the button on fuel injection and it goes, you know?
Yeah.
And that's I try and explain that to a lot of, so my dad had a 73 Nova, and it was carbureted, and it was an Edelbrock, and like that was all the car needed. But you know, if it was less than 50 outside, you could chalk it up. That car wasn't going anywhere. And like we'd go to a car show early in the season, and he'd go to leave and it wouldn't fire. Well, then it'd kill the battery because he couldn't get it. You know what I mean? So it's like this whole thing. And before he passed, we were going to do a you know, full fuel injection setup, like a sniper setup or something like that on it, because he wanted to drive the car all the time. And that car ran great when it was running, but when it is not, it just wasn't right, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it does make them so streetable. I mean, you can get so much better fuel economy driving down. And I think what makes, you know, all these LS motors last forever is you're not washing the cylinders down with fuel all the time, right there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that side of it. Chris Oler says, he quoted you, says you have to put an OD in it. No truer words have been said.
Yeah. Chris is another Canadian who's coming down from Alberta. He's trailer in his car, but he's got his whole family with
That's
him,
cool.
So that's going to be really cool. Beautiful brown 69 Chevelle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Beaumont, actually. Yeah.
There you go.
6-speed.
The one thing I think that is probably one of the biggest benefits to like an overdrive, or like, you know, you've got a 6-speed in that car. We're so used to dailying something that is relatively quiet, you know, unless you've got some, but like you get in an old car that's got a 3-speed and you're running 3,000 RPMs. I mean, when's the last time your G8 ran 3,000 RPMs at 70 miles or at 60 miles an hour, you know? Yeah. So people aren't used to driving like that anymore. And then so they get in their hot rod that they're going to drive 10 times a year, and it's got just a 3-speed and it's fast and it's loud and it's fun. And then they're like, I'm not driving this thing 2 hours because it sucks.
Yeah, totally.
You know? Yeah. So definitely an OD.
And when you're doing race week or, you know, one of the events, you can't hear it when it's going bad. And by the time you slow down at a gas station in here, there could be a lot of carnage. But turbo cars are definitely quieter, and this thing with an overdrive and such low RPM, you can hear what's going on. So it helps you go, oh shit, sooner, and hopefully you save it.
Right. So let's talk about the turbo progression, but let's talk about your exhaust system first. So you're through a turbo. Are you straight pipe? You have a muffler on it? You have a dump on it? What do you got?
Yeah. So it's a 5-inch downpipe because it's a 94 millimeter turbo. And then underneath the car, It's flanged under there, and it necks down to 4-inch. Goes from 4-inch to a single turbo muffler, and then the exhaust of the turbo muffler is 3-inch. And so that's what I drive on the street. And then I just pop that whole thing's. I can pop it off in like a minute and throw it off while I'm at the track.
Yep. So is it up in front of the tire then, I guess?
In front of the rear tire, yeah, under the car.
Yep. That's cool. So the old truck I run, it's just a 78 millimeter on it. So it's like a 3-inch out. And then we're down and back through a muffler, and I've got a V-band right at the firewall. Same thing, and just pop that deal off, throw the tip on, and go on. To get it out from the cab. So
yeah, that it works good. Mine's just straight down. Like it's 5-inch. It goes down because I still have inner fender wells. It goes down and it dumps like right under the passenger seat. And I remember the first time I put it on the 2-step was in at Matt Blasco's dyno. And I put it on the 2-step, and I'm like, oh, my God, it scared the shit out of me because it sounded like there was a bomb going off under the passenger seat. And Matt's looking at the data log next time, and he's like, you're only like 50% throttle. I'm like, dude, I can't do that in here. Like, but yeah, now when I launch the car, it's foot to the floor, shoots flames out that big underneath the car. And
that's awesome.
It's a good time.
Yeah, that's a 2-step, I think, is probably the next step for my old truck. I'd like to put a brake in it and be able to get up and have some fun. So, because it's just a stock bottom end 4.8. It makes like 500. It's no fun, but it's no fun compared to what you've got. But it was built 100% for burnouts and ice cream. That's all it does is burnout.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, shitty tires. Hiwachi Tire and Lube keeps us in. He'll text me, "Hey man, I got some decent 18s. You need them?" I'm like, "Yep, let's go." And he's got a burnout pad poured at his tire shop, and we just go out and kill tires and put new ones on and go on. So, all right. So walk us through kind of the turbo progression. So you went tri-power NA running low 11s.
Yeah.
And then move us through kind of like why you went turbo. And then obviously up, did you start with a 94 millimeter? Did you start small? All that stuff.
Yeah. So I went tri-power, and then I went this motor, and really Muscle Motors from Strathmore. They built this motor and basically said, here, we want you to debut this at Drag Week. So in 2013, I drove all the way down with a great big Dominator carb and got second in big block, naturally aspirated street race. And like I said, when I came back, he told me what the price tag was and asked me if I wanted to buy it. And I went,
God, no.
So I knew at that point I wanted to go boost. So I built I think at that time it was just a 455, and I threw a supercharger on it, a Pro Charger actually, belt driven.
Yep.
And I think the car was running almost the same as NA. Like I did it for cheaper, but it was still a Pontiac motor, so it wasn't that cheap. Mm-hmm. And it was an F1C. And then at the end of the year, I cranked it up. And at that time, I was pump gas stupid. And I was still running on pump gas, spraying a little bit of meth. And I blew it up, I think, on the street. I obliterated all kinds of stuff inside there, pistons. And then that was right before an event. And so then I went aluminum Pontiac, and I still have that one. And I was also still doing pump gas at that time, and I actually broke that motor too. So I had a Pro Charger. Yeah, and that was not a cheap lesson, but I still have all that stuff. I pretty much have the heads, the block, crank, but the block needs some welding now. So one day I'm going to get back at that. And then and when I blew that up, it was right before an event. I knew Todd had the 517 still sitting on the floor. I said, dude, we got to make a deal. He's got a 71 GTO. I said, I'll paint the car if I can have the motor. So I took that motor, put the Pro Charger on it. And I don't know how much experience you have with Pro Charger, belt-driven Pro Chargers, but you can't stick your head under the hood without earmuffs on. Like they are noisy, and they sound like they're falling apart. Yeah. So I would actually, for the long drives, I'd just take the belt off and drive without the belt on and throw it on at the track.
How did that affect drivability? I guess it probably, at that point, it thinks it's NA, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
In fact, I built a separate pipe so I could throw a filter right on the throttle body. And eventually I just got lazy and started sucking through the turbo all the time, or through the ProCharger. And with the overdrive and the low RPM, there was never any issue.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because, you know, on a setup like that, you're probably not really building any boost till you're higher in the RPMs anyways.
No, in fact, that's the other thing that was bad about the ProCharger is it's 5.4 to 1 ratio. So even if you're cruising at 2,000 RPM, that thing's going 10,000 RPM, and it blows off a ton of air, and it's just really noisy.
Yep.
And so then, you know, the nice thing about ProChargers is you keep your exhaust, all that stuff. And so finally I decided, no, I'm gonna put a turbo on, and I called up, had some recommendations from some drag week guys, which is another benefit of having all your buddies. I called up Reed at Works Turbochargers. I told him what I did, and I'm like, dude, I drive this thing everywhere. And so I usually tell people that about 5 times, because usually they're like, yeah, he didn't drive it everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I told Reed how much. So yeah, it's a journal bearing, Borg Warner. It's an SX5, or it's a S500 SXE, I think. Yeah, it's a big boy.
Yeah, and let me get it zoomed in here for folks, because like that's a 517-inch Pontiac behind that thing.
Yeah, I like that picture because it makes it even look bigger than it is.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What'd she say?
Yeah. And so yeah, I built the whole turbo kit. I took my my headers, flipped them around the other way, and then took a saw to them, and then I started building the headers out of my old my turbo headers out of my old headers. And then
nice.
I fabricated all that stuff, and yeah, that turbo does everything I want it to. Like, it's still, I know it'll make 20 plus pounds, and my 2 8-second passes I've made have been at 12 pounds of boost. So
what? Oh my God, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, but for the longest time, like up till last year, the freaking car was a handful. Like,
yeah,
you'd be at about the 900 foot mark, and you'd be like, okay, are we going this time? Or are we going to make a ride? And, you know, once I realized that the wheels were like this, and it was like grabbing and throwing me. But yeah, so now I've sorted out a few things. So I'm hoping Florida will see steady 8s all week, but we'll find out.
Well, yeah, and you and I kind of discussed that a little bit in messages or on the phone before this. Have you ever, I guess, you know, Oklahoma stuff probably isn't crazy high elevation, but, you know, we're going to be sea level at a bunch of that stuff. So yeah, that car ought to go crazy.
You know what? For me, I've got so much left in the turbo that usually the air isn't the issue. It's usually just, you know, it's all about 60 foot in there. And the Starks will tell you, I mean, it's 4,000 pounds with me in it.
That's crazy. Streetcar stuff, bud.
Yeah. And that's with the passenger seat out and no back seat. And it's still heavy as shit. But I figured out a couple of things. So I'm pretty sure I can get my 60 foot back at Florida, run some, you know, 460 foots and be down. I would love to be down below 870 so I could go faster than Bill, but we'll see.
Dang it. Hang on. I just closed the screen that I wanted to bring up because it's hilarious. And this will lead us into the next question I have for you too. Tell us about this. That's your truck. No, that's Bill's trailer, isn't it? Or is that your trailer?
Yeah. No, that's Bill's. I didn't have a trailer. I don't even know. I think I might have had a rack that year, but I come back after making a pass, and there's people, you know, kind of standing around all my stuff. And I'm like, the hell's that sign saying? It's like Guido's garage sale. Yeah, no offers will be refused. And that was Adam Dory. They stole a sign from a bathroom, and and then made up their own little sign. So that was
That's
pretty
awesome.
But
That's
I left it up, and all kinds of people are coming by and looking, and I'm thinking, I wonder if I could sell anything, get me back home or something. But
oh man, that's hilarious. When I first saw that, my initial thought was, should people, like, if you're advising newbies, people that are going for their first time, should they bring a trailer, or should they pay their respects and do a yard sale? Should they go in and out every time?
No, I would say if you're set up to bring a trailer, I mean, unless you have a wagon or something, no offense, Starks, I know they've got a trailer too, but the reality is it's always crunch time. And the more time you spend packing and unpacking is the less time you're fixing your stuff, and the craziest shit happens. So yeah, I literally have everything set up the best I can so I can be the most efficient at the track, because your time is so precious. It might be the difference between getting some sleep or not getting some sleep. It might be an hour, but
yeah. Well, hey, listen, by Thursday morning, we had 18 hours of sleep from Saturday morning when we got up. Like, I don't think people grasp the concept of how little sleep you're getting. Bill said that they stole that sign from a hotel.
Yeah.
And then, you were talking about weight earlier. He said, you said it's 4,000 pounds of you in it. He said it's 3,600 without you.
Hey.
hey, now.
I'm going to practice some jujitsu with that fella.
That's right. We're going to talk about some other hobbies here in a minute too, because you've got some. I definitely want to talk about that. So let's run through, what do we got left, man? I feel like there's so much. Tell us about Miles of Mayhem.
Yeah, so Miles of Mayhem, Dustin Watts and his dad Dean Watts. They called me up one day, and I went over to their place, and Dean Watts has got a garage full of cars, and his garage does not look like my garage. Like, you could have a party in his and watch TV, but he still works on it in there. Like,
he doesn't have paint on the ceiling, does he?
No, he does not have paint. He probably pays somebody else to do his
nice
paint and body. Smarter than me. But yeah, they used me as a reference item, and asked me all kinds of questions, and we made some very simple rules. Like, I think there was only 7 classes for the first year.
Yep.
It was pretty much based on drag week style. We raced in the morning, handed in our time slips, and drove. It was 1,000 miles in total. It was in 2 different provinces, so like states for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fantastic. Like, it was all 8th mile, but it felt just like this. And for the first year, I think we had 100 people.
That's awesome.
And as you'll know, I mean, I told people it'll change the hobby in our province, because people were excited when it was announced, and then once they did it and start telling their buddies about it, like, it won't be long and it'll be just like Sick Week, where it'll sell out in no time at all. And they did a great job. The trophies were cool. All the staging was cool. He had to lay down the law at one track because he had it set up pretty good. Like, lane 1 was always for your first hit. So he would still call groups, and then he'd get to a certain point, and lane 1 was just nothing but people who were just showing up. So everybody always got a hit, and so he learned a bit what he'll do different, but it was fantastic in my mind. My dad was my passenger for that one too.
Oh, cool.
He had a ball, and it was great, and a whole bunch of new friends in the province, and now of course they all want to come down and do the events in the States and stuff. So
you're like our ambassador. That's what we need to I'm decreeing that right now. Rich Guido, ambassador, Drag and Drive ambassador to Canada.
Yes, yeah. Cameron Thorpe, I mean, that was one of my favorite things on Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0 is when he got decals made for me that say the Canadian Chuck Norris. So So they're right on my window, but you don't see them until I roll the window up right before we make a pass beside each other.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool. Not something I would make up myself and put on my car, but
yeah,
when somebody else makes it up for you, oh yeah, you got to put that shit on your car. So
that's pretty cool.
That's my favorite decal on the car, or decal.
Decal for us Southerners. And then you were car number 001. I guess that probably stems from your assistance with them.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't tell me they were going to do that. They actually gave me, free entry and they gave me number 1. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool. Number 1 in stick shift class, number 1 in our hearts.
Yeah. I'm sure I know there's some people coming after me next year. So bring them on. That's what's fun about this.
Yeah. I think that would be the neatest part about being a high horsepower car is the competition at that level is pretty intense, I mean, you guys are fast, and there's a lot of other fast people that are building cars for this. That's crazy.
The stick car, I really feel like stick cars are just taking off again. Like Joe Steele, he just went high 6s. Like World Cup is coming up this weekend, and the amount of stick cars, they think there's going to be about 5 stick cars in the 6s. And
wow.
And all H pattern with T56s in them. Like crazy how fast they're going in those.
That is wild.
That's a lot of banging gears in a short period of time. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm understanding this right. Like you need to be H pattern to be in those classes, right? Like, or is it a
no? Those that well, depends on which event, but most of the guys that I'm watching, they're all H pattern.
That's awesome to be able to throw gears like that. So let's run through. I've got a couple of pictures here I want to talk about. I'm trying to figure out which one to start with because it'll kind of dictate and how we'll go through. But come on, open up. Tell us who this dude is. Hang on, I'm almost there. Who's this guy?
That's Arlo. He was scratching at the door a little while, but he's my garage helper sometimes, and he's not much of a helper. That's all I can say. It's like I was just lying in there half upside down a minute ago, and I get out, and he gets in and gives me that look. It's like, so, are you done yet? We go for a ride?
He's like, can we go yet, please?
Yeah,
that is too cool. Now you were saying beforehand, before we started recording, you've got a couple pets. Couple cats.
Couple of cats too. Now the cats and the dogs don't get along, so they're kind of segregated downstairs because the one cat who used to be a male has now had all those parts removed, and he's really pissed off. So he can be pretty angry. We pretty much drug him every day. So
that's awesome. Let's a couple things here. Dirty Panda, Richard Edward comment earlier. He said when Rich was born, he drove his mom home from the hospital. We need shirts of this stuff. You just need to wear these shirts all the week. And then George Belinsky asked, how are the roads on Miles of Mayhem compared to the U.S. roads? Hopefully they weren't as shitty as some of the Oklahoma stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say that if before the trip, I didn't think they were fantastic. But after the Oklahoma trip, it was like the roads in Canada are perfect, man. There was no gravel. Actually, they were good. They picked a pretty good route. So there was no issues. No, I don't think anybody left an oil pan behind that I know of.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, here's another good one. How about tell us what these trophies were from? Like what are these? These are second place race week stick shift class. It looks like.
Yeah, that was Bill kicked my butt that year. But that was Rocky Mountain Race Week on the left, and then that trophy on the right. So at Drag Week, there's no stick car class. So the way it works at Drag Week is Frank Romano and a bunch of the guys there at the end of the year always organize a stick car shootout. So
that's cool.
The coolest part about it is it's by the racers. We all throw in $20. Mine might look Canadian when I throw it in just for fun. And then the winner gets it all. And typically the stick car shootout is the last set of cars going down to end the event. And that year, I was going rounds. I had the Pro Charger on, and John Puckett, who's got a fast little Coyote Capri. I mean, he was flying. Like he had the car to win the event, and but we're hot lapping, and it's ours. It's not really drag weeks, so they're like, get your shit done. You guys got to get this. You got to knock this out because we have to have a award ceremony. So we're like, there's no going to your pits. You go right back into the lanes. And
oh geez,
unfortunately, I think John, well, because he was the fastest, obviously he's the hardest on stuff, but he launches that little car at like 7,000 RPM. There's a great video. Yeah, a great video that I could send you, but you can hear him and me line up. We're lining up. I'm Pro Charged. He's Pro Charged. And you can hear it. He says, right, it's like 7,000 RPM. He launches it. He trees me. I think we go to bang second gear. He misses second gear.
Oh,
and, so he was running 920s all week, about 150 miles an hour, maybe somewhere around there. And I was running like 990s all week, and I changed the pulley right before the event. And so against him, I think I went like 979. It was the quickest pass I had made all week. And I didn't need it because he missed a gear, but
yep.
I was pretty convinced that he was going to kick my butt. But that's why I love stick racing, right?
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It
was
awesome.
exciting. I mean, yeah,
for sure.
Watching the videos afterwards of all my buddies screaming in the stands, and oh yeah, it was fantastic. It was definitely one of the highlights. And my dad was with me that year too, and so to cruise back to the pits and see him, that was pretty awesome.
To be pumped, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What did you do here? How did you do that? That's a wheelie, wasn't it? That was a wheelie.
No, I think actually what it was just the way I had bolted that to the cross member. I think it was putting some extra force. So that's a TRZ upper. But what I didn't know is that I broke it. So I launched the car, and I'm sure it was a bit of a wheelie. And when it came down, it broke the arm. And I went through the traps at 144 miles an hour with it like that.
Oh, dang.
And I didn't know. And I was thinking, geez, this is a little worse than normal. I mean, this thing's a little bad, but it's not usually that bad. And so I pick up my time slip, and I'm coming back into the pits, and people are like pointing at the front of my car. And I'm like, I wonder what they're pointing at. And when I get out, the wheel is literally, the driver's wheel is laid right over. And I'm like, holy shit. I was just going 144 miles an hour with that thing. So it was up against the headers, and oh yeah.
So, it's funny. People look at that stuff, and, a lot of times you have to remind yourself, like, that dude's driving something that's 50 years old, like, not that the parts are 50 years old, but like that car and the geometry and all that kind of stuff was never made to go 150.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you break stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's been 165 miles an hour, and that's when the toe was an inch and a half in. And the videos you can't see, but I am working that thing. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Glad I got that straightened out.
What's going on right here? Like this I feel like is one of the best examples of car friendships right here. There's a group of guys looking at some part, and there's cars torn apart. Yeah,
so there's Travis Ray, Richard Ray. Those guys are from an island. They're a long ways away, but they were hanging out with us. I got Matt Blasco. Who else is in there? Dylan Merkel. And so I was convinced I had lifters going away. So we're doing lifters in a very fancy hotel parking lot, and you should have seen it. When they're coming out and they look, and I got shit all over their lawn, and my whole engine's lying out there. So it was like the paddle wheel in, I think is where it was in. And I can't even remember where we were at. But so, yeah, we did a lifter swap. But my old lifters, or my new lifters, that were my spare lifters. They didn't have oil grooves, so Dylan Merkel took my little. Actually, we went to the Walmart, bought a Dremel. He went into the hotel, into the hotel room, and he's grinding all the lifters, making an oil groove in all the lifters.
Oh my gosh!
And so and then it was starting. I think the sprinklers came on first. That was the first time. It was like, oh shit! So we're like putting stuff over top of the sprinklers, and then it started to rain, and Paul Castellino, I think is his name. I don't know if he's from Jersey or where, but the best accent and the best dude. They had a tent. Or they had a tarp, so they came over with a tarp, and we bullshitted there while I'm thrashing, trying to get this thing back together. But
that's awesome.
That picture is in one of the Australian magazines, actually. What the heck is his name? It'll come to me anyways. But
that is too cool.
Yeah, just great memories. You're not thinking that at the time, but
no. No, you're pissed because stuff broke that you're like, oh, dang. But, looking back, I wonder how fond, the heart is on those kind of, like what will your story for that be in 30 years,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. When I see people watching people play video games, I'm thinking, what the hell? You're watching somebody else have fun, and that's your fun. That's just that don't make any sense to me at all, right?
Yep. I agree a little bit on that. I could see like watching some. I don't play video games. I don't have time, but I could see if I'm trying to beat a level or something like that. Like I'm like, okay, how do I do this? Yeah, but to watch someone else play is a little rough. But man, hey, how many videos do you watch of people playing cars? How many of old Cletus's video do you watch?
Yeah.
So that's the way it works. Why don't you tell us about this one right here? Like in front of a fireworks stand?
Yeah, this is one of the checkpoints. That's my buddy Montana Dan, I call him, or Dan Nissen. He was my passenger a couple times, and then that's Travis Ray in a Corvette behind. But I mean that says it all, doesn't it? Look at him. Look how much fun he's having. 100%.
Right? That dude is having a blast. So let me zoom in here a little bit. Like that dude probably spent the week with his arms up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Like just having fun. I think that's where I want. So as our next giveaway type deal, we're rolling out something here in a couple of weeks. I'm not gonna lay it out, but we're rolling out something that's pretty big for us. But part of that will be hopefully somebody can win a chance to ride with us on an event.
That would be cool. Yeah.
I think that would be so much fun just to bring somebody that maybe hasn't ever had the opportunity or doesn't want to take the time to put that money together. That they can actually go ride with us on one of the Drag and Drive events. I think that would be so cool. If we can change one person's life by that, that'll make all the difference.
Yeah, the other cool thing about these events is it's usually the carnage that puts you in situations that you'll never forget. So the first drag week we did, I mean, it was chaos before we left Alberta. So it was me and my brother together. He's driving his Mustang. I'm driving the GTO. We don't even get out of Alberta, and the distributor gear eats up the cam gear, and we got to change a cam on the side of the road, and we're not even out of the province yet. And we got to drive to Bowling Green, Kentucky. So
That's
we do
crazy.
that, and the not strange part is he had a spare camshaft, and it was like, why are you carrying a spare camshaft? And he tells a story where it was like, yeah, it kind of looked like the gear was getting a little chewed up on the distributor, and I'm thinking, well, all right, I guess we could have changed that before, but now we're changing it on the side of the road. Yeah,
we could have thrashed in our garage, friend.
Yeah. So then, we get to Bowling Green. LS Fest is on. It's freaking awesome there. And we met Dan, and that was the first time we met Dan actually, in Montana, and we all cruised down together. And So day one, Bowling Green, Alex Taylor was there. That was her first year. We literally had to all sign a petition to say, yes, she's got a driver's license. She might be 16 years old, but why would you not let her run? Like,
right.
You could see the camaraderie right off the bat at that event, where it was like, all these old guys are going, let the girl in, man. Like, hopefully she'll kick our ass. We don't care.
Yeah, right.
And then
that's awesome.
And then, so of course, Alex did get in. We became good friends with the Taylors that year too. And then the second day was when with Bill there. Like the first drive day was hell. It was one car caught on fire. It wasn't one of ours, but it was the one that was with us, and it was just a complete shit show day one. And then day two comes, and we run into Bill, and now we got to help Bill out. Day three, my brother's ahead of me in staging. I'm behind him. He goes up, makes a pass. I'm ahead of him. I go up, I make a pass. I come back to the pits, and as I'm driving back towards the pits, my phone's going off. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And people are like, is your brother okay? What's going on? And I'm I don't even know. I'm back in staging, ready to make another pass. And turns out he hit both walls.
Oh, damn.
And he drove this car all the way from Canada too, right? It's a Mustang, and yeah, the guy was pissed off because they just painted that wall for an event coming up. But he smashed both sides of the car, bent the upper control arm. I mean, there was all kinds of things broken. But Mike Finnegan spent the whole day with us, helping us get that thing back together. We went to the junkyard, got rims off an old Lincoln, and so that night we're cruising. We got Mike Finnegan with us. A bunch of the roadkill guys are with Brandon Geology. I think Geology. I don't know how you say his last name. He's with us. They're taking pictures, and we're cruising with Tom Bailey. And
that's awesome.
Tom's got 1.0. He's got a 4,000-pound trailer or something behind him, and we're doing 75 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, this is the best thing ever.
This is the coolest night ever.
Yeah. And so, I mean, my brother, he raced the next day, and then went and got a wheel alignment, and then the car was undrivable after they aligned it. So we went back to the garage alignment that we did. And so he finished the event. He won spirit of the event. And then we had to drive home. So I think we got to like Fargo, North Dakota, and the wheel bearing went on the backside. And I kid you not, we were like a baseball throw away from one of the drag weekers' house.
Oh, wow.
And had messaged us, if you guys need anything on the way. We go over there. I think Bob might have had a spare axle bearing. They switched that, so we drove, and then we're coming across the border. And this is one of my favorite parts. Is I usually don't mess around at the border like most people. And the duty guard there says, "So did you make any modifications to your car?" And I'm in front of my brother, hey, and I'm like, "I didn't," but I said he sure did. Meanwhile, he's driving his jalopy up. The one side's like totally rubbed down. It's got I wrote with a white pen on it, red wreck. And oh yeah. And so he got I think he got about 60 kilometers away from his house in Grand Prairie, and then the front wheel fell off or something. And he actually called up Trevor, I think, and Trevor picked him up and took him the rest of the way home. But
that is awesome.
Like that trip was, I think it would have took most people and said, never again am I doing that event. That was and it was, like I said, it was brutal. It was probably the hottest one I'd ever been on. And it's the same as this Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. I mean, we finished the event. I get a race Finnegan. We go 906s side by side. I'm thinking, how cool is that? What a great way to end the event.
Right.
And so I go and thank him. I come back to my car, and Justin Shear, Big Chief, is standing by my car. I spent an hour talking with him. He gives me his number because we say we're going to go and buy some merch from his place. And, he's a total Pontiac nut, and dropped all kinds of knowledge on us, and I just feel super privileged that he was allowed, or, nobody was bugging him, and he could
Yeah.
spend an hour with us, right?
That is too cool.
And the people who are riding with us, like Eric Wilson, they're all car guys. They know who he is too. And, they were lapping it up too. So, I mean, that was super cool. And then, we get go through the award ceremony and do all that stuff. And at some point, Matt went back to the car and started changing the car over. And so by the time I get there, the car is up in the air. I do my deal with the clutch underneath. And it's like 1:30 in the morning, and we're heading out of the track. And it's like, why does it smell like burnt oil? And he's like, yeah, what did we do that would have caused an oil leak? And I'm like, I changed the oil at the beginning, but I've made 2 passes. And pretty soon it's not, why does it smell like oil? It's like, why is there smoke coming out from underneath the hood? So as soon as we get out, we pull into the first gas station, and 2 other fellas, I wish I could remember their name, they pulled in there, and they were like a NASCAR pit crew. They were like fire extinguisher, and I grabbed my fire extinguisher from beside the console, and we popped the hood. And there's no fire or anything, but there's oil all over the place. So I'm looking, I'm like, it looks like the timing cover is broke. And I'm thinking, because we broke a balancer earlier in the week, I'm thinking, did I break another balancer? And it took out the timing cover, and and then I'm thinking, did we break the front of the crank off? Like, why would it break the timing cover? And so I jack it up, and I'm looking, and sure enough, the one corner of the timing cover is like bent up, and there's a 1/4-inch gap. You could see right into the oil band pretty much. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, how the hell? And I'm like, it looks like something hit the timing cover under here. And Blasco says to me, he says, like, when the car fell off the jack, it landed on the jack stands. And I just kind of look up from underneath the car, and I'm like, fell off the jack. And so at that point, I was actually relieved, because I'm thinking, well, at least we know what happened now, because I don't know.
It wasn't something that came out of the motor.
Yeah, that's totally right. And those 2 fellas who stopped, they had some JB Quick. We spent 45 minutes putting it on, sealed it up good enough that we could go to the hotel. We get to the hotel. Well, you don't have a room anymore. It's like 3:00 in the morning. You missed the cutoff.
Yep.
But we'll give you another one for $400. And we're like, no. What do you mean 400? It's a football game. So Blasco books another one through Expedia. We drive over there. No, I don't know. The hotel guy's like, you might have booked it, but there's no rooms here. So he's getting pissed off. Of course.
Yeah, you booked it for tonight, not for right now. Yeah. Yeah, we've lived that life.
Yeah, right. And so I walked to the hotel next to it, and that lady had control over her computer, and she was fantastic. She's like, I can give you a room, but you only got it till 11 o'clock, and it's 4 o'clock. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's all we need.
Yep.
And then we call up Big Chief the next day. I text him, basically tell him my story. And I mean, he literally caters to us. He didn't end up coming, but his right-hand man let us borrow the shop. So we're at Midwest Streetcars working on the car for the whole day, right beside the Crow. The old Crow.
How cool is that?
Like, how cool is that? Like, I mean, Blasco would tell you that's why I did it, but I don't think that was the reason. Yeah, like, how do you can't make that shit up, right?
No, that's too cool.
And then, I borrowed David Pierce's trailer. So we took the trailer back to his place, and they got rooms for us. So we stayed at Tina and David's house, and they cooked breakfast for us the next morning. It was like, man, this trip couldn't get any better. So then we drove to Bill's the next day, stayed the night, tried to make it over an overpass that's higher than Bill's house. The barometric pressure was 67 kPa. Like, I don't know, it's almost like when you're pouring the fuel in your tank, it just evaporates, because we fought fuel trying to get up and over this pass. But so then we went to the salt flats after that. So we made it up the mountain finally, and the other side was much better going down. And then we help our buddy Sean Driver go 291 miles an hour in a 53 Studebaker.
What? Hang on. Keep talking, because I got to find it. You said Sean Driver?
Yeah, Sean Driver. So, yeah, it's a 1953 Studebaker. The previous record for his class was 256 miles an hour. So we obliterated the old one. And that car had the record for 15 years. And then the year before, somebody beat it by like 13 miles an hour. And then, yeah, we almost went 300 miles an hour with that old car. So
that's crazy. Hang on. I'm flipping through your Facebook because you've got some pictures of that car on there, right?
Yeah.
So sorry, hang on. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Hang tight with me. Because this is a what car did you say it is? Because I don't think I got the right one pulled up.
It's an orange and black 53 Studebaker.
I think I do then. Hang on. Oh, shit. Listen, I'm not very good at this if you haven't been able to tell yet.
If you look at my Facebook, you'll see it eventually. But
yeah, this is my fancy stuff right here. Does that get us there? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So the one in the front is actually a Hemi 5-speed car that he built to tow the race car behind it. So they both look the same, but the one behind it is 540 cubic inch big block Chevy with a 106 millimeter turbo on it.
Come on.
Car weighs about
5,000
pounds.
5,000 pounds?
Yeah. So
I guess you've got to have some weight to one, go that speed in a car that's, that car looks pretty aerodynamic, but you would need the weight, one, for traction, I would think, probably two, huh?
Yeah, just to keep them on the ground. Like, it's totally opposite of drag racing. Like, you gotta keep adding weight to keep them on the ground and to keep traction.
Wow. So how was Bonneville? Like, my notes here just say, tell us about Bonneville. Because I don't even know where to start. That's a bucket list item, I think, for any car guy is to do that. But like what was that like out there?
So, in a way, there's a lot of like-minded people. They're creative hot rodders. There's all kinds of cool shit, but it's an awful place to be a spectator because at the beginning, they're like leaving. They're not even leaving like fast from a set of lights. They're like half the time they get pushed so you can't see them anymore before they take over and start, and they're under their own power. And then I saw Mickey Thompson go by us at 455 miles an hour, and it's like, I think I see him coming. I think there's a dot down there somewhere. Yeah, that's him. And then it's like, oh, there he is. And it's like, woof! and it's like amazing how fast that is. But the salt itself, and just how huge that flat plane is. And I took a bunch of pictures while my car was there. And this year, the salt was super dry, so it didn't get up in the car. Like, I had my G8 there before, and it's like caked, and you're jacking the car up in every different direction and pressure washing. And some people just put a sprinkler under their car. But it's you got to go do it. You got to go. The best time is Speed Week. Mm-hmm. Speed Week typically has the most cars. We were at World Cup, but they say that was the best the salt had been in like 30 years. Like, you could do a burnout. You could do a burnout on the salt. There was all kinds of burnout marks in the salt from people just messing around. And but yeah, it was it's definitely something that you got to do. It's very cool. I've been there 3 times all the time trying to help Sean get a red hat. And the only way you get a red hat is if you break a record over 200 miles an hour.
What?
So yeah, it's the most expensive red hat you'll own, but and so he's really close to getting a blue hat. So next year we're hoping that we can get him over 300 miles an hour, and he can break the same record. Then he'll get a blue. Then he'll get a blue hat. And once you get a blue hat, you can drive anything on the salt.
Hang on, we may be hung up here. My internet's saying it's not responding, so I don't know if anybody can hear me or not. I'm like, it's hung up here, so I don't know if we're gonna.
I can hear you, but
yeah, it won't let me close out or anything. Here we go. Oh shit. We may have to jump back on here in a second. Hang on. Yeah, it's locked up.
It's saying 2.5 hours. That's enough out of you two clowns?
Yeah, it said, listen, y'all can't be talking no more.
The timer's still going, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's funny. If folks are still can hear us, make a comment in the section there. I mean, I literally can't touch anything on the screen. I can't. It's all locked up. That is too funny.
I'm surprised they just haven't chased everybody off yet. Is there anybody even listening?
Yeah, I mean, we're still double digits. I can't believe it. I figured everybody would be like, we're out of here, listening to me anyways. Now, you're a cool guy. Like, it's
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to pull it up here on my phone real quick and see if we're still live. Come on. Maybe.
Yeah, no one's commenting. They must be working on their cars. Hey, what do you think?
Yep. George Belinsky says he's still with me. So, hey,
Okay.
I dig it. That's crazy. Yeah, it still shows to be live. Okay. Well, cool. Well, hopefully that shit will come back around in a minute. I don't know. Let's see if I can get over to my notes here. Yeah, I can get to my notes. Oh, my God. So you told us earlier, but tell us how far is Tampa, Florida from you?
So my house to the racetrack down there is 2,900 miles.
Oh my God, dude. So you're going to drive, so what's that, 5,800 just round trip?
Yep.
Wow. How many oil changes will you do during a week? You were talking about changing it earlier, but.
Yeah. I'll probably just change it when I get there, do the event, and change it before I come home.
Yeah.
I mean, 2,900 miles at 1,700 RPM is not bad, but I like to change it after I beat on it. So, get rid of some of that parts and shit that are laying in the oil for the drive home anyways. Give some
Right.
chance of success.
That's crazy. That is crazy. I don't know what's going on here. This is nuts. What will probably happen is we'll just lose everybody there. So let's talk about the GTO for a minute. Like the backstory to it. So you told us earlier you sold the convertible Firebird,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So you sold it and you bring home the pictures we showed earlier that I would show here, but I can't get anything to happen. So you bring that car home, but where did you find that car? Where was that car, in relation to?
So it was that one that my brother, we bought a 67 and a 65 together, and they were down in Creston, BC at an orchard. And the story goes is the guy had the 67 and was looking for seats for it, went to the junkyard, and this car was sitting there, and he wanted the seats out of it, and they said, no, you can take the whole car, but you're not just taking the seats. So he brought the car home and then realized it was black, GTO, red interior, stick car. And so he was working on the 67, and then this one was just sitting there. So we bought them both, brought it home, and that was I think it was late in the year. I think it was like August, and October the following year I was driving it.
Dang, that's cool.
So I had to reintroduce myself to my family after that, because I was a shift worker, and I'd pretty much work 3 weeks and get 2 weeks off, and it was like straight out to the garage. And it was frame off. It was on a rotisserie. It was hanging up outside in the snow like a chicken while I was painting the frame and doing all the chassis stuff, and then it turned out great. When I went to pick the aluminum motor up, whatever year that was, I was driving the GTO, going to pick the aluminum short block up, and I got probably about 45 minutes out of town, and there's a motorcycle and a car, and they're under this overpass, and the guy on a motorbike is waving at me, and I'm looking at him thinking, what the hell is he waving at? And I turn around and look straight, and all the traffic is stopped, and there's a flat deck semi right ahead of me, and it was either run into the semi or go into the cables and try to squeeze myself between the flat deck and the semi. And so I bounced off the cables and cleaned this side of the car off a bit. And so yeah, it's been this side's been painted twice, anyways, because I crashed it a little bit. But that's what happens when you drive it all the time, I guess. It's a car,
right?
To drive though.
So I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to have to restart. So I've got my phone pulled up, but I can't bring I couldn't bring myself on the back here. So we're just going to have to work with this. So, all right. I can't see any updated comments or anything. So, this is great. It's always something, you know what I mean?
We could try to log off and log back on if that'll work. I don't know if that.
We won't do that to people. I'll watch the chat over here on my phone. It'll be easier. All right. Because I can still get to my comments. So that'll be easy. What's the fastest that car's been?
896 at 165.
Damn, that's fast. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I made really good progression last year. Was the last year I was taking really good notes and being more methodical, and so I was doing pretty consistent 1.4 foots with not much boost, and I was whittling it down, and then I ran a couple of 8-second passes, and I thought for sure this year was going to be the year, but I figured out towards the end of the year what was going on with the front end and the bump steer, and so over the winter I fixed it. I fixed it by putting lower control arms on, but it dropped the car too much. So then I put a spacer on, and I ended up taking up a whole bunch of shock travel. And it wasn't until I was chatting with the guy on Facebook, and he was talking about, because he's 4,000 pounds and running 850s with a stick. And so I was picking his brain, and he was like, yeah, shock sensor in the front helped me out a bunch. And so then I started looking at pictures, and last year the front end's up in the air, and all my videos this year the front end's not up, and so I measured the front end travel, and I probably had knocked it in half by all my goofing around.
Oh wow!
So I'm pretty convinced I can get back to the 1.4 foots and then start giving it the beans, because I was literally leaving it 2 pounds of boost and 3,600 RPM, and it was running 902s at.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. And last year I was running like 4,700 RPM and about 5 pounds of boost. And, and that was getting me down in the 1.4. So I just got to get back there. I'm pretty convinced, because I went from 2.5 inches of travel back up to about 6 inches of travel in the front end, and to have a shock sensor. So now what I'm trying not to do is screw anything else up before I go to Florida. Fix anything else.
Yeah, you just need it to keep going, please. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's crazy. So with the shock travel sensors and things like that, what's it look like when you come back to the pits and try and like how do you use that data to figure out what you need to do? Like, I guess that's what interests me the most. Like, how do you figure that stuff out? Just tons and tons of change this little knob, change that, set this way.
Yeah. What's interesting with all these cars now is you can get a ton of data, and sometimes you have so much data that you're missing stuff like fuel pressure, or if there's something else going on. But the Mega Squirt's pretty easy. You come back. My data log is soon as the engine starts, it's recording. So the whole drive down to Florida, it'll be recording, and it'll just record over itself. So wow. I never have to worry about turning it on or anything.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit. And then when I come back to the pits, I pretty much don't shut the car off. As soon as I get back, I start downloading it, and then the air fuel ratio now is dialed right in. I typically don't have to make any moves there. I'll throw some more boost in it. I have a front wheel sensor and a rear wheel sensor, so I can tell whether I'm spinning or not, whether I can give it a little bit more boost. But the shock travel sensor should really tell me if my shocks are controlling it, if I need to slow it down a bit. And it'll also tell me when it gets to full extension, am I losing traction? So is it happening too quick? At least that's what I think it's supposed to tell me, because I've never had a shock sensor before in the front, but I'll probably put one on the back too. But the nice part about Mega Squirt is, like, I bought a $30 Cadillac sensor that Blasco told me to buy, and I mean, I calibrated it, so when it's at normal height, it's 0, and then when it's at full extension, it's at 100, and
Wow.
it should be pretty cool data. Hopefully, it won't cause me to screw more up, but
Well, again, like, think of from a regular clutch tri-power car to now, like, slipper clutch, big turbo, all the electronics, like, all the stuff that you can learn from that, and just how much faster that will make you, plus the ease of being able to see immediately what that can do.
Yeah, the slipper clutch too, you can totally see when you have that clutch dialed in. Like, Bill will tell you, you're on the 2-step, and if the clutch is hitting too hard, you can see the RPM drop way off, kind of bogs the car, and then takes it off. Well, with the slipper clutch, especially as loose as I set it, and hopefully with the travel back, it doesn't blow the tires off, because I was having some issues with that, and the clutch wasn't slipping enough. I was trying to blame the clutch, but now I realize it was probably all weight transfer.
Yep.
But you can see right away the clutch is slipping. You can see when it hooks up, like almost like a converter when it locks up, and then how the car takes off. With that data, well, and I don't know how much you've played around with fuel injection, but the first thing I realized is that TPS, that throttle position sensor, it's a tattletale, man. Like, it's like, what in the hell am I letting off for? Or, like, I'd shift gears and I would only come back to like 70% throttle. And I will tell you, when you're driving a 4,000 pound car and it's making 1,400 horsepower, 70% throttle sometimes feels like it's fast enough. And but I never knew that I wasn't putting my foot to the floor until I saw the data, and then it was like, God damn, man! Like,
get to it, bud.
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah,
that's crazy. And it's funny because, like, we were doing that same thing on the dyno with the who was tuning the old truck was like he jumps in and he's looking, he's like, man, it's got full thing. He's like, let me in here, and we made another 85 horsepower. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, because we were getting 100% throttle instead of 88 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that's why it's probably a good idea to have somebody else tune your car on the dyno.
Yeah,
because they're not scared to break it.
Yeah. Like Bill said, dynos are scary as shit. You don't want to eat before you go. You feel like you're going to throw up, and it's like, oh, and such long pulls too.
Yes.
Every time you're like, oh, just make another one.
Yeah, where's the top of the RPM range? Holy shit, you gotta be turning 10,000.
Yeah.
Well, let's kind of wind down a little bit, because I can't get much deeper here. But I just thought of the Eric Wilson story. You've got to tell us about the Eric Wilson story, because he's been on and kind of told that story after race week. But I want to hear it from your perspective. Bill told a little bit of it too, setting the timer and things like that. But what did you guys roll up on, in case folks haven't heard that story?
Yeah, so this was the first time I had met Eric. The last time I saw that truck was the first time I did Rocky Mountain Race Week, and I was going up the hill to Bill's house. That truck was on the side of the road with the transmission out of it. So Bill's like, hey, this young fella is going to ride with us. And I'm like, can he go 80? Like, if he ain't going 80, I'm not sure it's a good idea. And he's like, oh yeah, he'll go 80. And I'm like, well, he's all in then. So, Eric's pretty quiet kid and stuff too. Yep. And, super, like, just an awesome dude. And,
yes.
So I had heard that, or, I was there when he was talking about thinking that he heard it on the 2-step and stuff. And so we're cruising down the road at 80 miles an hour, and he pulls out, I'm behind him, and he pulls out to pass somebody, and he literally goes out, passes him, and then pulls right over into the ditch. And I pull in behind him, and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, it's not good. And I'm like, well, you better pull up, like, let's just pull up into a bit of an entranceway here. So we pull up, and I call Bill. Well, he fired it up, and it was like, oh, yeah, no, stop.
Turn it off. You're hurting stuff.
And it was actually one of the cool parts was Matt Blasco. He's been on a few of these events, but the first event he was on, he heard his transmission in the Dirty Dart, and they were humming and hawing, and there was a few of us going, you got to figure out what you're doing and get at her. Like, you can't sit around. And so Blasco, like within 5 minutes of us being here, he's like, are we going to do this or what? And so it was game on. Eric's like, I've got head gasket, I've got a piston and a rod, I've got everything we need to switch this thing over. And the other, David Rex Winkle, I think is his name, and his buddy there, they're LS swap guys. And I mean, I helped where I could, but I was almost get out of the way. Eric literally climbed under that thing, pulled, undid everything, got the piston out. By the time, he was ready to go, we were ready to go on the top. He plunks another piston in, climbs back underneath the car, and literally in 3 hours and 11 minutes, we swapped the piston on the side of the road. And
it's crazy. And for the folks that don't know, it's a early 50s international truck that is on like a, I don't know what year
Silverado.
model. I think early 2000s, 4-wheel drive Silverado. I mean, like, it's not like you just slid under it and dropped the pan to swap, like he had to like take down the front diff and like all this kind of stuff. And to do that in 3 hours was pretty wild.
Yeah. And I rode in that truck when I broke my balancer. I rode in that truck back to the hotel. Freaking thing's got air conditioning. I swear it's quieter inside there than it is in my car. And I'm like, God damn, this thing's nice.
Yeah.
But
it's super cool.
It's super cool. Yeah. So, I mean, where do you get memories like that? I mean, it just doesn't get any better.
I'm telling you, you don't get that memory by trailering your car to the track. That's for sure.
No. For sure
we were having some struggles that day. That was the day we were kind of in and out of overdrive with the cart, and we came up on you guys, and we slowed down, and everybody was under the hood, and it was you, and I saw Bill's car, and I was like, if those two dudes are there and they can't fix it, we're not going to be able to help. So we just kept on cruising because we didn't have any, I knew that truck was turbo LS, and I knew we weren't going to have any parts that were available with our stuff for it anyway. So,
yeah, I'm sure we gave you a thumbs up. There was, I think, what were we looking for once? We were looking for some valve grinding paste, but we used toothpaste and some sandpaper instead. Just the same.
Yeah, it was perfect. Eric's story is pretty funny, and he's a Colorado guy too, and I think he said this was the first time he had been on an event by himself like that. So he didn't have anybody that was in a with a truck and trailer back at the thing. He had to drive that thing home. And when we talked to him, he was still driving on that same setup, So
the
he's
piston's not the same as the rest of them.
He's like,
took a flapper disc on the head. Oh, that's hilarious. He's still driving.
Yeah. He's a super cool dude and super smart. Really methodical and things like that. So it was really cool to go through that with him on a live feed too. But you can definitely tell he was not as comfortable telling his story as some other folks talking about it. So what would be a dream car of yours to build? Like, what is there a bucket list of car that you're gonna build one day?
Obviously I'd like to build something lighter. But this, I mean, the fact that the trunk is as big as this thing, I don't know that I have another dream car. Like maybe a Tempest that's not a full frame car, or something a little lighter, so that I could go a little quicker without hurting the wallet every time you do a trip, because it's just so heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've become a Pontiac fan. I'm familiar with these. Yeah, if anything, just something lighter. But I mean, this thing this thing does everything I want it to. I mean, if I can run 850s eventually and drive it like I do, I mean, that's pretty badass in my mind.
Like what else would there be? I mean,
yeah,
850s in a car you're going to take for 8,000 miles here in a couple months or 7,000 miles here is pretty wild, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Solid roller, yeah, and makes that kind of horsepower and still be able to drive it everywhere.
That's the reason I love boost, and one of the biggest reasons I love turbos. You know, you put a Whipple on something, or a Pro Charger is a good example too. Now on a Pro Charger you can change pulleys, and on a Whipple you can too. But you know, like you start going to upgrade to like a bigger setup needing more air. You know, if you're buying a new supercharger, you're another $5,000 or $7,000. You know, you buy another turbo, like especially in the world I live in, which is $400 turbos. You know, you can buy a bigger $500 turbo.
Yeah.
You know, and just upgrade a little bit. So that's and there's not much that sounds cooler than a car making 10 plus pounds and a good blow off valve.
Yeah.
So,
my blow off valves or my dumps are under the hood, so it kind of looks like Venom shooting flames out when I'm on the two-step. You can see it at night, but
nice.
Yeah, and then when you're ripping around the street and you can hear the blow off let go. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably the coolest sound ever, and especially so the old truck's patinaed and it's low, and we've got a big MagnaFlow on it. And through the turbo and then through the MagnaFlow, it's pretty quiet. At a stoplight, it's got a cam in it, so you can hear it. But you roll in it real hard next to like an SS Camaro or something, and the dude kind of looks over like, "What?" And then it starts building boost, and then you let off, and it's like, "Holy shit, what is in that thing?"
Yeah.
Then you get back in it, and just light the tires off of it for as long as you want.
Yeah,
so.
I'd ask you to see a picture, but apparently you can't do that.
Yeah, I literally can't. Like I'm scared to shut it down. I'm scared to reset it or wait for the program or anything. So since it's working, we're going to keep people going. These folks have hung out with us this long.
Yeah,
it's
they're
weird.
crazy.
Like, yeah, I can still see some of the stuff that's going on. I can still see the count of the time and the and a little bit of the comment, but like the screen where I was sharing stuff is in front of everything else. So I don't even know, we're not going to be showing any more pictures. That's for sure, unless it comes back. So how about, let's run into I think I need to come up with a name for these last 5 questions.
The Fast 5? Fast and Furious 5?
There you go. I like Fast 5.
Yeah.
They'll probably get on to me once the channel gets big enough. But if they're still listening at 3 hours, they can get on me. So what's the fastest you've driven?
Fastest I've driven. Yeah, it's probably in this thing, like going through the traps. I'm probably doing 167 miles an hour.
That's wild, dude. That's so fast.
If you ask me what's the longest, fastest you're driving, Matt Blasco and I, we detoured through Mexico on the way back from the Salt Flats, and we were going 105 to 107 miles an hour for 3 hours straight.
Jeez. Like, what's funny is then you slow down to 80 or 85 and you're creeping. Yeah. That's wild.
And it's, just flat and 2,200 RPM, tons of airflow, car runs cool.
What's like, are you a factory replacement radiator in that? Or are you like oversized 8-core radiator? Or
no, it's a Ron Davis racing radiator. It's pretty much the original side. It's actually still downflow. It's not cross flow. Seems to work good. I don't typically have any overheating issues.
Yeah, I should have been asking that earlier.
Yeah, no worries.
And then are you WD-40 or PB Blaster kind of guy?
Croyle.
Oh.
If you haven't used that stuff, that's good stuff right there.
Nice.
See, it says the oil that creeps you out or something.
The oil that creeps. That's awesome. And then are you a gloves or bare hands kind of guy?
Yep. So I usually start at gloves and then end up in bare hands and go good the guy got those gloves. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I bought, we've got a little auction place here in town, and I bought what I thought was 2 boxes of like 50 count large 13 mil latex gloves. I get there and it's like 2 boxes times 13. So like 25 boxes of these things.
Holy
And so
Jesus.
anytime I do anything, I throw them on because I'm like, there's no reason. But the problem is any more than about an hour in a set, and you're literally running water out of the top of the glove. Yeah.
Turn
Oh,
your gloves into prunes. Yeah.
yeah. Prune is an understatement because like you'll take it off and like it has completely cleaned any dirt or grime out of your hand because your hand has been so wet for so long.
Nice. Yeah.
How about a tool you can't live without?
So I don't know. Can you see that?
Oh yeah,
You see
dude,
these
that's
Nippics?
a nice one.
So they're a great set. They you can use them on AN fittings because they're just a flat surface. But Nippics pliers, love them.
Nippics, send him some other pliers. Sponsor this dude. Come on. And then how about the biggest hammer you got in the shop?
I do have a sledgehammer, and I don't know what that thing would be. 7-pound sledgehammer.
Nice. That's not very big. It
No,
is pretty big though. When you're working on car
Depends
stuff.
depends on how you wheel it, I guess.
That's exactly right. How long's the handle on that thing?
It's just like that,
Yeah. That's awesome. We were talking to somebody the other day. Oh, Danny Diesel. I was talking to him about building a 4-foot breaker bar and calling it the stripper pole.
Yeah.
Just be a picture of some dude hanging off of it. Man, okay. What haven't I asked about that we need to talk about?
I think we covered it all.
I feel like we almost 3 hours. What's funny is I used to be concerned. I thought, oh man, you need to keep podcasts to an hour. It needs to be informational, all this kind of stuff. But I don't know if you follow Sloppy Mechanics, if you're on that page at all, but Matt Happel does his live feed. And he went a couple and it was 2 or 3 hours. And I was like, you know what? People want to hear these stories. People want to, tell that stuff. People want to know. And if you can talk 3 hours with Drag and Drive folks, I love it.
Yeah. There's so many more stories. I'll tell you one more story. That's a funny one. You know how the Drag and Drive events happen, right? There's people on the side of the road. Everything's good. Give the thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we passed Larry Dixon and the 3 cars that are with him. They're all parked on the side of the road, but ain't nobody there. So I've got a convoy of about 6 people, and I'm leading. So I pull over, and everyone else pulls over with me, and we're walking back to the cars, and there's nobody around. We're like, what the hell? So we walk back a little further, and there's a swath going down the ditch into the trees, and the hitch broke off one of the trailers. And so we literally formed a human chain, emptied the whole trailer out, got the trailer back up. Of course, the hitch was broken off the Camaro. I had a rack on the back of my car. We put it on top of my buddy Derek Mueller's Jeep, and he had a I think I had a ball and he had a receiver or something, and then we tow their car tow the trailer to the next check stop. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just so much fun, right?
Right. And so what's funny, so let's talk thumbs up, thumbs down a little bit. And I'll tell you 2.0 last year, 2020. I'm cruising with Jonathan Stonecipher, who's got a Fab 9 housing in his Nova, super nice rear axle, thinks he's losing a wheel bearing. And so he pulls over. We're in literally the middle of nowhere, Kansas, no street lights, no nothing. And he's like, I don't want to drive the car anymore because it's got, this wheel. I want to pull the wheel off and look at the wheel bearing. So we're like, okay, well, I had never been on a drag and drive. So people are passing us, slowing down. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking he's just working on it. It'll be easy to fix, So we're giving people the thumbs up as they come by. Oh yeah, we're good. About 2.5 hours later, he was like, we're not good. Like I'm not going to drive on it anymore. I'm scared. He'd put it all back together, and so he was like, "Did anybody And he named off some of the big guys that would have like a 40 millimeter gun drilled wheel bearing, you know."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, they passed." He's like, "Well, what'd they say?" I was like, "Oh, we gave him the thumbs up." He's like, "You dumbass." He's like, "What are you doing?" So, at that point, like we had exhausted every effort to try and get one, because we were like an hour from the track. So we're like, can we drive to the track, get one from somebody? Travis Martin had lived within an hour south of us. So it would have been like a 2-hour trip. He's like, "Man, you can use my shop," all this kind of stuff. We never ended up getting one, ended up driving back to Tulsa to get the truck and trailer and go rescue Jonathan. So sadly, everybody, if you're going to drag and drive, you need to know thumbs up, thumbs down,
Yes, totally.
So,
Yeah.
Yep. I had thought about, so I worked for a print company as a day job, and I had thought about trying to figure out some way to build like a magnetic thing you could just put on the car, so because if you're turning wrenches and everybody's slowing down, it's sometimes it's a little bit of break to give them a thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. First drag and drive event, we were with a guy with a Nova, and his crank trigger went out. So he was literally like a stripper on the side of the road, and he's waving the crank trigger. And so people are going by, and then sure enough, this orange Camaro, he whips in, parks, and "Yeah, you got one of these?" "Yeah, got one of those." So we're back looking at the Nova. We turn around, and the orange Camaro's on fire. Smoke billowing out from underneath the hood. So it was literally like a football game. So he's running back there, and of course it's got Zeus fasteners holding the hood on. And but the guy in the Nova, he grabbed the fire extinguisher, he fired it through the air. Somebody else caught it. The hood goes flying into the ditch and put the fire out. So it's pretty funny how you can. Literally, that's what he's holding up, crank trigger, just waving by the side of the road.
Please have this.
He was screwed until somebody came by, so there was no thumbs up. In that case, it worked pretty good. Yep.
That's crazy. All right, dude. Let's end it. It's 10 o'clock for all the folks here in the Central Time Zone. You're probably Mountain Time, aren't you? Right?
I am. Yeah. It's 9 o'clock here on the
button.
Yeah.
So you'll have a little bit of time to get some dinner before you go in.
I'll probably take that dog to the dog park and give him a little walk before bed. So
hey, there you go. That's a good idea. I didn't eat dinner before this either, so I've got to start doing that. I think so. I think being on earlier with Eric from Destroyer 1320, and then jumping on here, pretty much 15 minutes after him and I shut off, and then my little brother came in during my time with Eric. So him and I talked, and then you were like, "Hey, I'm getting in." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, man, I was going to try to sneak in and get a sandwich, but nope, not today.
Well, you better go eat then.
Yep. Well, hey, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you doing this and spending the time with me.
That was a pleasure.
I'm really excited about Sick Week. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be weird not driving something and how much time I'm hoping that gives me. So.
And you might actually get to sleep and everything. That'll be.
Oh, no, we won't do that. I'm sure there'll be something break, or we'll end up helping some folks. Justin's a really good dude and super smart mechanically. So, and super smart book wise too, probably, but I don't, mechanically for sure. So, it's going to be a ton of fun. So I'm literally just going to, I guess, close out of Google and shut it down. So I don't know if it'll turn it off or not. I hate that we couldn't get to all the pictures, but you know what that means? That means you're going to have to come back on and we'll tell more stories. So
yeah, we can hang out at Sick Week and tell some stories from that after.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, dude. Thanks a bunch, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. 2 hours and 58 minutes. That's a good one. So, all right, man. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks again.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Holy crap. What the hell? It kept running. Holy shit. All right. I can close out now. I wish I had known that. I could have gone back in and let him talk and flip through. Damn, I thought it would kill the broadcast when I closed the screen. So, y'all, thanks for hanging out. Holy shit, 3 hours long was amazing. Was amazing. I'm sorry you ended up having to stare at this for a few minutes. If I had known it was still back up, if I'd known it was back up, we'd have done it. So, anyways, thanks, guys. I will say for the folks that are still here, big announcement coming real soon. Week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. So, all right, I'm really ending it this time. Bye.